There's trouble in the hidden sand village. Iran fired about a dozen ballistic missiles at Israel. Israel retaliated by taking out literally the entire remaining upper echelon of leaders and stuff in Iran. Trump tells both of them to stop. Both of them immediately stop looking at their disappointed dad. And then things immediately start up again. It's pretty diabolical over there. The Donald also crashed out on a reporter, went giga viral. Everyone is talking about this because he was completely justified. LA officially stole the election. It's confirmed the election was stolen, and it's not happening lying down. The United Kingdom is falling apart. Hassan Piker was just interviewed by the British media and got absolutely shredded. We have so much to talk about, and that's why we do every day another deep dive. Definitely subscribe for the daily deep dive. And yes, this is a real post that Donald Trump made of himself as Naruto. I did not make this. He actually posted this simply because he's the GOAT. Now, Donald Trump keeps sending so many of our forces to the Sand Village when in the reality, we should really be focusing on the Hidden Leaf a little bit more, if you know what I'm saying. The Donald said this to a reporter, and then the reporter acted rather ungraciously.
They've been largely decapitated, and I call it a military exercise because people would rather have it called that. It's not a big war for us. It's not. We have the most powerful military in the world. I built it, frankly. I built it in my first 4 years, and I'm using it a little bit in my second 4 years. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone.
It's gone.
Their anti-aircraft is gone. They might have built it up a little bit over the last 4 weeks during this little ceasefire that we did at the request of some very good people, very, very fine people from, actually from numerous places. As you know, there are a lot of people involved, but from Pakistan in particular, the Field Marshal and the Prime Minister. And we're very close to having a deal, and if we don't have a deal, we'll do it one way or the other. Either way, we win.
Either way we win, either with a deal or we remove them completely. We will see what ultimately happens and what transpires. Now, I'll let you know my opinions as we go on, of course. But then the reporter decides to start pushing back on the Iran war, and it's some of the most despicable shit you've ever seen.
President, Iran was the closest to developing weapons-grade uranium after you ripped up the nuclear deal because there were no guardrails in place.
They were developing it during the nuclear deal.
That was the issue. The issue was they shook hands with Obama. Obama gave them tons of money, and then they started developing it with zero oversight. That was the issue. The issue was the fact that the nuclear deal wasn't holding because they directly stated their goal of wanting to destroy the United States of America. Death to America, we're going to build nukes, we're going to destroy you. You know, they're an actual apocalyptic death cult regime that wanted to destroy our country and views us as the great Satan. Obama just got them to make a pinky promise that they wouldn't do it and then gave them billions of dollars to develop it. Right? That was the issue. The issue with the Obama deal was we gave billions of dollars to terrorists hell-bent on our destruction.
You don't know that? Iran, when Obama signed that stupid deal where he paid them billions and billions of dollars, he thought he could bribe them. Listen to me. They were developing a nuclear weapon. That's how they got there. They got all of this uranium during Obama. You know that, don't you? Well, that's how they got there. Don't say this. They got there. They developed it during the Barack Hussein Obama, during his administration.
And they've escalated their development after the deal was...
Yeah, that's how time works, lady. Time moves forward, actually. So during Obama, they got billions of dollars. They purchased all the uranium. They started developing it. Trump ripped up the deal, and they continued developing it. It's like, oh, wow, the development continued after. Yo, yeah, fuck you, you bitch. Oh, my God. Our generic media is just mouthpieces for the Islamic regime.
Let's talk about the economy.
And then he starts to answer her question. Look at this. And then she tries to cut him off because this isn't about getting answers from the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, right? This isn't actually about getting his insight, his opinion, or his analysis. This is about her shoving her opinions down his throat so she could use his face as a platform and a springboard to springboard her retard propaganda into the minds of the viewers. Understand what the media is now.
Escalated their development after the deal was...
Escalated development after the deal was made. Okay, now we need to move on.
Let's talk about the economy.
Do you see that? That slimy move? Oh, no, actually, it was all your fault that they have a nuclear weapon. Anyway, let's talk about the economy.
Let's talk about the economy.
If I didn't go in there with the B-2 bombers, they would right now have a nuclear weapon, and it could be that half of the world would be eradicated.
Let me ask you about the economy.
And zero acknowledgement of what he said, just moving on. It's almost like she doesn't actually care about what the president of the United States says. And this is such an indicative idea of what the media generally is. More on this interview later. It gets very explosive. But for now, I've crafted quite the narrative for you guys and quite the interesting turn of events. So, CENTCOM released this video. U.S. forces across the Middle East remain vigilant and ready.
Every success that we have starts and ends with our people.
Oh, yeah. America's back, actually. Now, I'm going to get copyrighted for this video, so I can't show you more. But America's actually just back. I don't know if you heard the update. We're actually here, and we're here to stay. Actually, defeating your enemies overwhelmingly is awesome, actually. Killing terrorists is awesome, actually. Winning wars is awesome, actually. The thing that was considered the universal standard for all of human history is still the universal standard today. No matter how many men in dresses in the United Nations tell you it's immoral to defeat your enemy in war, that's okay. They have the right to be retarded, and thank God for the United States of America not being completely and utterly castrated by globalism. Now, a lot of people have very different opinions to me, like the Cubans, for example. The Cuban government is a communist regime. Cuban authorities have started to distribute weapons to civilians, calling on them to prepare for an incoming U.S. invasion, according to sources. All right, this is not going to help. we're just going to discombobulate them, okay? I don't think you realize. Yeah, with everything going on in Iran, I figured some people would miss what's going on here. So I'm just, I'm doing my absolute best to cover all the things every day in the least homosexual way possible. I'm not a leftist. And in fact, it got even hairier. Canada's 3 major airlines indefinitely canceled flight services to Cuba. They know something we do not. Something is happening. Something is happening in Cuba, and the Cubans know it. And one of the biggest twists of the day was the president of Colombia tweeted, "Hail Hitler." Now, this guy is a far-left Marxist. When he was a teenager, he actually was a Marxist terrorist. Now, the purpose for why he's tweeting this is because this is an article that's basically saying, hey, Colombia's a shithole. There are cartels everywhere, and the president, Gustavo Petro, this fucker, and the president literally just lets the cartels get away with literally everything. That's pretty fucking awful, actually. We need more authority. And his response is, "Hail Hitler. Oh, you want to arrest terrorists? Well, you must be a Nazi." Notice the overarching issue through every single leftist society. Have you noticed how every single leftist society ends up just hailing Hitler and completely using these insane terminologies to basically make your opposition Nazis and fascists to give yourself an excuse to destroy them and kill them? Isn't it weird? Are they all have like the same fucking playbook exactly? Now, the president of Colombia has had enough, says Daniel Hakikachu. This is a 65 IQ inbred Muslim American who has openly and directly advocated as an American that Iran is better than America and fighting for our freedom. He did an entire debate talking about why he is supporting Iran. In my opinion, this is treasonous shit and bro needs to get deported. But this is the craziest thing ever. So yeah, so he supports Gustavo Petro saying "Hail Hitler." And this is not surprising. The Mufti of Jerusalem back before Israel was founded was close homies with Hitler. So I guess the Palestine-Hitler alliance still alive and strong today. I wonder if they have something in common that, like, I just can't think about. Now, the reason why I'm making this joke about the Hail Hitler Palestine comparisons is because you'll notice something really interesting. You know, you notice something really interesting when you start to look around on the internet. All right, the Free Palestine situation, then it ends up just being pro-Hitler. No, that's crazy. It can't possibly be that, Hamas, the terrorist organization that's hell-bent on killing all the Jews, actually just doesn't like Jews. Maybe it's not really about Free Palestine, actually. Maybe. All right, so this is Mohammed Smeary. The Zionists themselves manufactured the Holocaust. But also Israel is ending Gaza. The Holocaust is happening in Gaza, but the Holocaust is fake. Bro, it's unbelievable. Israel is losing, but Israel's winning, and that's what you got to deal with every time. All right, so here we got this account, no difference between Hitler and Netanyahu, but also Hitler was a good man. Same guy. Interesting. Right, people hate Jews because of the genocide. Also the same Ryan Dawson. How long for these 4 ovens to cook 6 million pizzas? You know, it's so weird how often boycott anything that supports genocide. Boycott Israel from the Palestinian. Also the Palestinian. Wish Hitler lives till now. Hitler was the one good German. Again, this is very popular sentiment in this area. All right, you'll notice, right? Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, the 2 true axes of evil. Also, this same guy, I am a Nazi, I support Hitler, I love Hitler. It's so weird. Isn't it weird? Many such cases. You know, if Nazis are marching in your parade, it's a Nazi parade, according to Hassan Piker. Well, what about this? What about this? That's a lot of funny hand motions that they're making at Palestine protests. Right? I thought they care about peace and shit. Yeah, weird how that keeps happening. Now, anyway, Mr. Gustavo Petro's Heil Hitler, people started looking into all of his homies, right? Like Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy, a win for human rights, peace, and social justice. Yeah, yep, that's right, yep. Now, in Iran, they're begging to be armed. Direct from Iran, arm us. The Iranian people are demanding weapons to defend themselves from the regime. Right? They're posting videos, please army us. You know, they're doing their absolute best. Obviously, they can't fight back against a terrorist government with no weapons. They're getting massacred in the streets. And now that there's internet, we are seeing so many cries for help from the Iranian people wanting to be freed from these fucking goat molesting monsters that conquered them and oppressed them for 47 years. Like, aside from the fact that we're taking out a threat to our nation that's killed thousands of our people in the past, the Islamic regime, we're also doing a moral good by eliminating these pedophiles. Like, holy shit, it's insane. Insane watching the world take their side just because Trump bad, you know? All right, so in the city of Firuzabad, Iran, videos reportedly show hundreds of copies of the Quran being discarded. The person filming claims that nearly a ton of Qurans had been thrown into the river. I cannot believe they would be polluting the rivers with all of these Qurans. This is truly a horrible development. Unbelievable pollution happening in Iran. We need to do something about this. Now, this was one of the big updates. New, the IDF is striking Beirut, that's the capital of Lebanon, in response to Hezbollah rocket and drone attacks over this weekend. Now, for the record, for those of you that are unaware, Hezbollah, terrorist organization backed by Iran, murdered 242 of our Marines in Beirut. All right, you know, as far as I'm concerned, every single Hezbollah retard that the IDF takes out, you get a thank you from me as your American brother, a patriot that loves our country and loves our military. Fuck these retards. I'm glad they're dead. Because yes, actually killing terrorists that are actually advocating to kill you and have killed hundreds of us is actually just a really good thing. I know that it's a really, like, it's a mind fuck to even need to engage in this debate. Because for so long, society told you that, no, actually, you're not allowed to kill terrorists that are trying to kill you and it makes you a bad guy. But no, actually, it really doesn't make me a bad guy. Actually, killing terrorists is awesome. I need to put that shit on a shirt. People are so cucked. Oh, you support genocide? No, I support killing terrorists. And they have to, like, literally rename every possible word that you use in order to manipulate your language to make you sound like a horrible person. Your words mean nothing to me, and your boos mean nothing to me. I've seen what makes you cheer. Killing terrorists is awesome, actually. Now, this Trey Yinks guy, this is an American. He's a Fox News reporter, and he's like, yeah, the IDF is striking Beirut in response to Hezbollah attacking Israel over the weekend. Makes sense, right? Now, breaking, Israel warns Iran any attack will trigger full-scale war. All right, we'll see where this goes. And boom, 4 missiles launched at northern Israel. This is northern Israel last night. Just tons of, you know, locations where missiles might impact. So, you know, everyone running into bunkers. And thank God, interceptions over northern Israel. This was last night. Look at this shit, dude. Look how crazy this is. You got the missiles in the distance, and they just, poof, they disappear. It's wild. Absolutely wild that, you know, that tech like this exists. So, that's one way to get things started. Well, I guess they did their show of force, right? They violated the ceasefire, obviously. They're attacking our allies and shit. Israeli officials, Iran will be hit hard. Uh-oh. Then Iran fired more missiles. All right, more incoming missiles from Iran. This is the early warning, striking at all these areas, Haifa, Nazareth, Akko, etc. This is basically the entire northern Israel, all over here. And boom, they blew up Arabs. Man, that fucking... Man, that fucking sucks, guys. Wow. Holy shit, more Muslim on Muslim violence. By accident, footage circulating shows smoke rising from the West Bank. That's Arab land. From an Iranian ballistic missile impact. Blew up Arabs instead of Jews award. Just truly heartbreaking stuff. No one could have seen this coming. Damn, just absolutely miserable. Now, here are red alerts for many areas of Israel as Iran launches more missiles towards the country. Breaking, new missile launches towards northern Israel, the third wave. They fired 3 waves of missiles, each with 4 to 8 missiles each. And each missile, if actually makes impact, it could take out a city block. They're massive missiles. Fired directly at civilians, you know, because they're terrorists doing terrorism things. You know, of course, Daniel Hakikachu, the same guy who celebrates hailing Hitler. Iran is mowing the lawn in Israel tonight. Woo! Let's go! Civilians dying. Woo! This is... I mean, this guy is a Muslim American that's literally rooting for our enemy, Iran, to kill civilians. Like, they are all the things that they make believe they hate. It's honestly incredible. And... the Israeli Air Force intercepted all missiles fired up to this moment. Just truly heartbreaking stuff. Truly heartbreaking for the Daniel Hakikachus of the world. The Muslims that wanted to see the Jewish blood. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait. You have to wait for the next one. Truly demoralizing that the Islamic Republic of Iran, this fucking superpower in the, you know, retard world, and they fucking suck. You know, if instead of having sex with their cousins and producing retarded inbred children, they decided to develop decent technology, maybe things would have been different. But unfortunately for them, dicks out for the Iranians. They fucking suck really badly. Israeli official tells CNN that Israel is preparing a significant response to Iran's ballistic missile attacks, of which everyone was stopped. Now, Axios reported that President Trump tells me, I am going to call Netanyahu right now and tell him not to strike back. And it's like, oh, God, that's not happening. President Trump, Netanyahu will have no choice but to accept an Iran deal. I call the shots. I call all the shots. Bibi does not. All right, we'll see what happens. GPS jamming happens across Iran. It's like, oh, fuck, we're starting again. And Israel attacked Iran. Reports of explosions in Tehran. It seems like they did not listen to Trump. Oh, my God. The Donald said something and Israel didn't listen and struck back. I'm going to let you know my thoughts on this as we go. I'm just trying to get the entire story across because, unfortunately, this gets broken into pieces and no one actually knows what's going on. So I did the research and timeline putting together myself. Israel releases the video of Israeli Air Force striking Iran's air defense systems. Israel keeps hitting its targets. Iran doesn't. Israel simply has military capabilities that Tehran lacks. And that's basically what's going on at this point. Israel, a country the size of New Jersey in the Middle East, sand New Jersey, bro. Just overwhelmingly more powerful than all of its regional rivals. It's honestly horrifying. Bro, what not having sex with your cousins does to society, man. Insane how that played out. So, Israel requested a green light from the United States to strike energy targets throughout Iran following tonight's ballistic missile attack from Iran towards northern Israel. And it's like, all right, that was nice of them to ask. I mean, they were attacked and they want to attack back, but they know that if Daddy Trump says no, you have to obey the orange man. Orange man comes first. Hey ho, if you think Israel controls America, you're a stupid ho. That is the correct analysis, by the way. I didn't even think to mention that because it's so obvious that we control Israel and not the other way around. It's honestly hilarious watching retards. This war completely dispelled the notion that Israel controls us. Like, that conspiracy theory was picking up steam, and then this war started, and then we're watching Netanyahu literally begging, please, let me fucking kill them. And Trump was like, no, we're making a deal. And he's like, no! And he listens anyway, you know, let's be real here. So, Israeli government confirms this morning's strikes in Iran were coordinated with President Trump. This is after the deception tactic carried out earlier, pretending the U.S. is stopping Israel from hitting back. So, again, this is something that I was waiting to get here in the narrative before mentioning. You can't trust Trump, ever. And I mean that in the best way possible. That dude plays 5D chess with negotiations. He'll say, we're not striking back, and then strike. He'll say you have 2 days, and then he'll obliterate them, and without saying anything in advance, you know. It was like that with Venezuela. It was like that with the B-2 bombers. It was like that with this current Iran war. Dude, as long as the blockade exists, we're strangling Iran. So I don't care about the length of the ceasefire as long as the conclusion is satisfactory. I see so many people just tired. Either like, yo, let's pack it up and go home, leave it as it is, or, yo, let's go in and bomb the fuck out of them. But I'm just sitting here, and I'm like, yo, as long as we have this blockade strangling Iran to the tune of $500 million a day, because they can't get any oil out, and they're just collapsing internally, you know, I'm not in any rush, actually. We could take our time. I'm totally fine. As long as the conclusion is satisfactory, I am more than happy to strangle them like this. So it seems like Donald Trump saying, don't do it, BB, don't do it, was a deception tactic because it was actually coordinated with President Trump, you know, because Israel basically does whatever we want them to do because we give them billions of dollars and they are very gracious in that regard or something. Personally, I would not want to give them any money because I don't agree with the whole the whole idea of giving foreign money to people, giving money to infinite countries around the world. Nope, actually don't like that at all. But while we do, I expect respect, and we do get it. You know, I will be real. Over the course of this Iran war, I'm looking at Europe just literally sit there with their finger in their bums, and I'm like, bro, is Israel our only capable ally that's actually willing to, you know, fight and shit when we tell them to, and to stop when we tell them to? I don't know. Food for thought. It's kind of weird, actually. CENTCOM provided intelligence and air coordination to support Israeli strikes and missile defense operations, contrary to CBS report. And the Israeli Air Force struck military targets belonging to the Iranian terror regime in western and central Iran a short while ago. An update, question mark removed. According to Iranian sources, the IRGC commander Ahmed Vahidi is no longer with us. He's gone. He's gone. It's over. So, you know, like, Iran is like, oh yes, I will make them suffer. Fires a dozen missiles. Every single one of them gets deflected. One of them lands in, like, Arab land and blows up a couple of Arabs, which is heartbreaking, but, like, what am I gonna cry? Israel responds, takes out their commanders, like, super efficiently. Help from the United States, bro, just fucking massacring these retards. This is footage coming out of Iran, because there's internet. Could you imagine how bad Iran looked the first couple of days of the war? But they shut off the internet, so we couldn't actually see what was going on. This is one strike. One strike took out one of their commanders. Just, oh my God, it's insanity. Now, to quote Marcus Rubius, first of his name, he had something really interesting to say. Now, this is from like a week ago, but what can I say? It's very appropriate.
If you fire at a U.S. Navy ship, what are we supposed to do? Say, oh, there's a ceasefire. We're not going to shoot down your drone. That's a stupid question. That's a stupid position to take. Of course we fired back at them. They were shooting at us. That's what I would expect to do. Only stupid countries don't shoot back when you're shot at. And we're not—
Quote from Marcus Rubius, only stupid countries don't shoot back when you're shot at. Now, this happened to Kuwait. It happened to Bahrain. They didn't fire back because they were scared. And basically, Iran kept firing at them. Now, notice why Iran isn't really firing at us or firing at Israel until yesterday. Because we actually hit back, and so does Israel. And then they're like, no, actually, I will continue molesting goats. I don't want to get involved. You know, bro, it's not going well. So Sneeko, one of the major pro-Iran voices in America, who we should deport to Haiti, well, let's just say he is something of a geopolitical mastermind.
I'm North African.
You're Moroccan?
No.
Algerian? Tunisian?
No.
I ran out of countries in North Africa.
Egypt.
Egypt?
Yeah.
That's North Africa?
Geopolitical mastermind Sneeko gets involved, and he's incredible. What are we doing with these people? Well, what are we actually doing with this guy? Getting a geography lesson from a Foyd, and he is supposed to be some geopolitical expert when it comes to, like, Middle Eastern and North African countries. Bro, it's not good. It's not good! Bro, it's really not good. Now, to all those saying that Israel broke the ceasefire with Hezbollah and that justified Iran, a lot of people don't want to engage in reality. So this guy, Nick Mateo, who's been straight fire, I've been loving his stuff recently. He's a U.S. Navy veteran and a nuclear physicist, and this is what he had to say.
Israel actually broke the ceasefire with Lebanon, and Iran warned they would do this, but why would facts matter to you and your bot fans? Not only did Hezbollah launch in northern Israel today, they did on the 6th, they did on the 5th, they even launched a mortar that killed a UNIFIL person on the 4th. And Reuters said Hezbollah launches rockets at Israel testing U.S.-mediated deal. This was 4 days ago. They literally said testing the U.S.-mediated deal. Yes, Israel did finally respond to that.
Yeah, they tested it, and they lost the test.
But this idea that you call me and my fans bots, when it could have took you 5 seconds to just Google that. If for some reason you don't believe me or none of that convinces you, here's one from BBC literally saying that they rejected the ceasefire deal. I get the push towards diplomacy, not really with terrorists, but in general, I get it.
Agreed! Man! See, that's why I like this guy. He's a U.S. Navy veteran. He's a nuclear engineer. He understands the nuclear threat from Iran. He understands how war works, and he's like, yeah, actually, negotiating with terrorists fucking sucks. We should kill them. Which is just the correct take. I'm really tired of everyone just being completely retarded. Nice and sheltered in your little fucking mom's basement where you can, you know, type online about how actually Islam is the one true way. And it's genocide when you kill terrorists that are trying to kill us. Man, I am really tired of watching people who don't live in reality just be complete morons. All right? So, of course, Canada, the Anita Anand, of course, this is a Canadian, it seems, you know, because she has paperwork that says she's Canadian. Canada is deeply concerned with the resumption of the conflict between Iran and Israel. Government of Canada did not issue a statement when Iran attacked Israel, only when Israel responded to an attack from Iran. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. All these Islamified countries are just literally all on Iran's side. And the fact that they don't say it out loud is it's only a facade. It's a charade. All right, pay attention, by the way. Over the next coming years or decades, you will notice the unbelievable shift to openly and publicly pro-Islam sentiment in all of these countries because they need to appease their voters. They import infinite retards from the third world, and then they need to appease all of them. So Canada, England, France, Spain, Germany, if they don't fix the course, they're fucked. And we're going to be dealing with a lot of neighbors that are supposed allies that are just actually advocating for Islamic terrorism. Breaking, Iran launched ballistic missiles at Saudi Arabia. Yeah, it's almost like they're terrorists. New IRGC proxies, the Houthis, attempted to attack Tel Aviv, but all of their missiles failed. Wow, this... No. No. Bro, listen, man, I'm just saying thank you, God, that all of our enemies are retarded. Bro, Hassan needs to interview these fuckers immediately. Bro, this Hassan platforming Houthi terrorists, asking them hardball questions like if he likes Luffy. You're doing what Luffy would do, sir. Anyway, 83% of Lebanese Christians, this is a new poll that came out, support signing a peace agreement with Israel. Which is really interesting because I was told that that they hated the Jews and the Israelis, when in reality, it's almost like they care about being oppressed by their Islamic government and Hezbollah terrorists. Man, weird how that happened. You know, Lebanon used to be a Christian majority country. I wonder what changed. I wonder what changed. Yeah. So speaking of Hezbollah, this is Hassan Piker supporting Hezbollah.
Allah.
Who's that?
He's the leader of Hezbollah, the general secretary of Hezbollah.
What's Hezbollah?
Hezbollah
is that small guy?
Hezbollah is this is the same name.
Okay.
Hezbollah is a paramilitary organization that is also a part of the Lebanese parliament.
Do we like them or no?
I think as a resistance group, they're pretty successful against Israel. But everybody hates them. Like everybody in the region, a lot of people don't like them.
Yeah, you know, the Christians that they massacre, the other minorities that they massacre, the Jews that they massacre. Like those guys, they don't, they killed 240 of our Marines. So, we don't really like them very much.
Like,
I like what you like.
I don't have an issue with them. Let's just say they're Shia. I am Sunni, technically. Not that this sectarian distinction matters in this situation, but
I'm gonna be honest with Sam.
But they are a terrorist organization. Like they're
yeah, I forgot to mention. I forgot to mention that they're a United States designated terrorist organization. Yeah, so Hassan Piker likes them. 83% of Christians don't, but then again, are we really surprised that the terrorists that are massacring innocent people aren't liked by their Christian population that they're torturing? Yeah, no one's surprised by this. So again, this is Hassan Piker, leftist pop star, right? He's super popular. He's a leftist streamer. He goes out there every day talking about how he's buddies with terrorists.
Like, as an American citizen and as a member of the media, of course I'm going to sometimes talk to members of state-sponsored terrorist organizations.
Yeah, just straight up admit he loves the Houthis. All their missiles fail. He loves Hezbollah. They're getting obliterated. He's supporting Iran. All of their missiles get intercepted and they lose all their leaders. Bro, this is diabolical. Now, the entire ideology behind this image is how dare they not let you consume entertainment media from imperialist countries actively attempting to destroy yours. Right? So this is a leftist trying to make it sound like Iran is actually a super nice place. Community, no, these women are the representation of the morality police in Iran. Many women have been killed by these for not consuming Western media. All right, they weren't killed for watching Hulk. Okay, they were killed for not wearing a hijab or some shit. They are trying their best to make Iran seem like this based place to be. Iran fires missiles at Israel. Israel, jokes on you. I'm into that shit. Takes out all their leaders. Man, it's fucking brutal out there. So this is Iran bombing Israel. For the record, just to understand what they are targeting. This wasn't yesterday. This was a couple months ago. But you notice how you never see even Russia target Ukraine like this. It's almost like the purpose of Iran bombing Israel is literally some sort of holy war with the goal of killing the Jews and the Christians, right? Which is why they consider, Israel Satan and America the great Satan. It's almost weird how that happens. The Donald says Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting President Donald J. Trump. And he makes another one. Both sides, Israel and Iran, are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. Sure they are. Yeah, sure they are. Absolutely, for sure. Neither of them are looking for a ceasefire, by the way. All right, this is classic Donald manipulation jutsu. You have been trapped by the Donald's genjutsu. Israel wants to obliterate Iran. Iran is a death cult, and they don't want peace either, or there would have already been a peace deal. But there wasn't. In fact, they've been killing us for 47 years. So neither of them actually want a ceasefire. Trump wants a ceasefire, so therefore he imposes his will upon the lesser being. That's how it seems like, how he... for the most part. Final negotiations of peace are proceeding, subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in the way. The blockade will remain in place, God bless Donald Trump, and in full force and effect until a final deal is reached. Things should move quickly. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He's been saying that a lot. I'm starting to think that a deal is not coming closer. I'm starting to think that we might need to take option B, Mr. President. I'm starting to think that. Just in, Iran claims it suspended military operations against Israel, claiming it will deliver a painful response. Claiming it delivered a painful response to the Israeli strikes at Hezbollah in Lebanon. Oh, we have made you suffer. Every single missile gets intercepted. They lose all their leaders. We have made you suffer. These guys are such LARPers. It's crazy. It's honestly the funniest shit in the world. Breaking, IRGC caves in, stops the round of attacks on Israel. Oh my god, dude. However, the Islamic regime says they are on standby to launch again if Israel continues to defend itself against Hezbollah. And Hezbollah fires more rockets towards northern Israel. And Israeli airstrikes hit Tyre in Lebanon and several of their targets in southern Lebanon shortly after the IRGC warned them. It's almost like they don't give a fuck at all. It's almost like Israel's like, you can't do shit to us. You are weak and pathetic and gay, and we're going to continue killing terrorists. A senior Israeli official told Channel 12 that strikes on Iran have been halted at Trump's request. Wow. Wow, it's almost like we control Israel or something. Southern Lebanon operations continue at full force. Israel will hit Daye if attacks on Israeli civilians don't stop. And Elon Musk decides to chime in at the end. Straits of Hormuz are named after Ahura Mazda from Zoroastrianism. It's almost like Islam is a colonialist ideology, and Iran, a primarily Zoroastrian Persian nation, is conquered and oppressed by these people. Yet I don't see any of these leftists screaming about colonialism and how the evil colonizers, oppressors of the Islamic Republic are bad. I only hear them screaming about how we are bad and how Israel is bad and how Europeans are bad. It's kind of weird. It's almost like that entire movement is a gigantic psyop that exists to rape the minds of complete fucking retards. And that is why their words should mean nothing to you. So, in conclusion, killing terrorists is awesome, actually, and I really feel like Donald Trump needs to go for Plan B. Again, I've said this from the beginning. I do not judge Trump on the tweets that he makes, on the things that he says, because a lot of it could just be, doing his art of the deal bullshit in order to spin himself into a position to get the favorable result. He's done that before enough times for me to have faith that he's actually going to pull off some shit now. As it stands, we're still strangling Iran with the blockade. Iran is completely fucking powerless. We have decimated them militarily. The fact that they taught Israel a lesson, fire 12 missiles that all get intercepted instead of one that kills some Arabs in Palestine. We will see what happens. Ultimately, I have faith that the Donald is going to pull something off. And I fucking hate the panicans, the losers saying, oh my god, Donald Trump promised that we wouldn't get into like a long, infinite regime change war. And it's like, we're not doing that. There are no boots on the ground. We're not losing soldiers, thank God. This is tiring, man. Watching these people cope about how Trump backstabbed us by doing the thing that he always said he would, which is not let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And on the flip side, I see like all the war hawks just freaking crashing out that Trump isn't dropping nukes and shit. And it's like, my guy, calm the fuck down. Holy shit. Bro's eliminating a threat the way he thinks it needs to be eliminated. We will reassess after it concludes. Can you shut the fuck up and sit down, show some loyalty, grow a spine? But I think the real moral of this story is 1,400 years of inbreeding will produce a fucking retarded population of dumb fucks. Like, my guy, there are like a billion of you surrounding Israel. You can't kill 9 million Jews? Holy shit. If Hitler came back to life and he saw that the major enemy of the Jews are these inbred fucking retards that fucking suck at everything, he would shoot himself in the head a second time. Now, the Donald has been going incredibly viral for this, all right? This happened yesterday, and everyone's talking about it. This NBC interview was an absolute train wreck, okay? You are not ready for what you're about to witness.
I was in Iowa, and the prices were $1.85 a gallon, $1.91 a gallon.
You hear talking in the background. Bros, she's interviewing the president of the United States, and you have random construction workers talking in the background?
What?
This time, it wasn't the rain, but an audio issue.
Oh, right,
that
sure.
forced us to pause
Of course, it was an audio issue. Yeah, bro, absolutely. At first, it was the rain, all right? Somehow the rain affects it. Dude, I record shit for YouTube video, for rinky-dink fucking YouTube videos. Yes, I understand my audience is bigger than NBC's audience. I'm not trying to self-glaze you or anything. I understand I have more of a national impact than NBC. All right, that's not saying much. But when it's raining, I don't have audio issues because of the rain.
Again.
What is this? What is this absolute slop? Anyway, so there's audio issues, there's rain issues, there's people talking in the background, just incredibly disrespectful shit. Now, also, notice how every single question is devised in a way to lie, all right? It's lying through omission. It's all trying to signal to the people what they actually want them to hear and imply certain things, and Trump doesn't fall for it. I love how the media is like, oh, Trump is old and he has Alzheimer's and he's falling apart, and none of their tricks work on him.
You got a strong jobs report
Right, you hear the rain in the background?
today that beat
Strong jobs report, she says.
expectations.
Not strong. Really strong.
Really
Beat
strong.
expectations.
And she's like, beat expectations. Let's not overstate it, bro. These are miserable people that hate our country.
How much? Triple.
172,000 jobs.
Yeah, why do you want to say what it is? Say that it tripled the expectations. Right? It tripled what was actually expected. That's not slightly strong above expectations. These people just don't want our country to succeed because they hate Trump so much. Right? Bill Maher says artists quitting the Freedom 250 concert makes it look like Democrats don't love America. Correct. Yes, Democrats don't like America. Exactly. You're right. That's exactly what white guilt actually means. White guilt means you have to hate the fantastic civilization that our ancestors created. These people don't even believe in borders, let alone countries. They have zero respect or love for our nation. In fact, it's so obvious that they don't even hide the lies. So Mehdi Hassan was just on Patrick Ben-David's podcast, and he asked him, who do you think loves America more? Ilhan Omar, a woman who obviously hates America, or Donald Trump, a man who obviously loves America? Whatever fault you want to find, he obviously loves our country.
Yes.
You think Ilhan Omar loves America?
You know how I know she loves America?
You think Ilhan Omar loves America?
You don't?
Absolutely not.
She absolutely loves America. You know how I know she loves America?
Tell me.
Because she came to America, she decided to run for office. When she ran for office, she ran as a...
She committed immigration fraud. She did tons of alleged scams. She basically got the Somali community the ability to steal billions of dollars and fund Somali terrorism.
Lefty who devotes her life to trying to improve people's lives. She wants healthcare for everyone. She wants health.
So he thinks that Ilhan Omar loves America, and his proof is that she got into the country and is promoting policies to take money away from people who earned it and give it to Somalis who didn't earn it. Right? That is his definition for love of America. And because of that, he thinks that she loves America more than Donald Trump.
Healthcare for every Trump voter watching this show.
Saying she is eventually going to return to her country and contribute to her country. She's only doing this to advance her country.
Bullshit. Ilhan Omar.
It's her words. Pull up the video.
Listen to me.
Pull up her video. It's her words. I just showed you Sam Piker, and you're like, I've never seen that video.
Let me say this to you.
Go ahead.
Donald Trump has made more anti-American remarks than Ilhan Omar. If we're going to go...
Like, bro, you can never engage with these people in good faith. Their words mean nothing. I will never, ever trust anything that they have to say. Mr. Mehdi Hassan, supporter of Islamic terrorism, I don't actually give a flying fuck about his opinions on literally anything in America. He just lies. You can never trust these people. He literally, they were on the same show together right when Charlie Kirk was assassinated to basically say that it's good that he was killed.
What I do know for sure is that, Charlie was someone who once said, guns save lives.
And then she grins. Guns save lives. And then she grins because a gun killed him. Yeah, these are filth. I'm not going to lie. Both of these people should be deported. Neither of them love America. And the Democrats obviously hate America, which is why they root against Donald Trump whenever he actually succeeds. Now, back to this absolute train wreck reporting. This absolute nightmare of an interview. Donald Trump rage quits in middle for incredibly justified reasons.
Evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
your
about
elections in this country. We're like a third world country.
But, sir,
your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked, and so is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President,
you're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the rain with you.
Takes off his mic, throws it on the fucking ground.
I know.
I've sat in the rain with you for an hour, on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press, because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be great with a dishonest
Listen,
press.
we
Come on, let's
traveled
go.
all the way to Wisconsin.
It gets better. Steps on the microphone. Later, darling. Later, darling. Brings him in there. Shitty fucking audio. Bullshit in the background. Misleading questions. You know, makes believe that all elections are totally honest and there's zero fraud, which is objectively false because so many people have been arrested for election fraud over the last couple of months. You know, we just saw the absolute shit show in LA. She says to his face, "You're wrong, Mr. President," in the most condescending, mocking way of all fucking time. And he's just fucking done. And yes, you should treat journalists like the filth that they are. Because remember, journalists aren't people. That's the moral here. Journalists are not actually people. You know, and then of course you have every leftist on the planet. Brava to Kristen Welker for maintaining her cool and reportorial backbone in an interview with a rude and bullying interview subject who cannot marshal a single fact, blah, blah, blah. And, like, you just need this screenshot. I'm sorry, I wouldn't say she maintained her cool. You just need this one screenshot from the interview, and it's over. You know, all of your fine words and cute propaganda, how Donald Trump is a bully, he did them a favor. He did not need to do this Meet the Press interview. He did them a favor to get the truth out to the American people, knowing that they would be bad faith, knowing that they lie and contort facts, because he wanted people to at least hear his side, because the media never tells his side. And this is what he got. He got a bitch. All right? You know, that is some wild, unhinged stuff from the president. Welker is a good person and an honest journalist. Yeah, don't believe your lying eyes. And it's like, yeah, no, this is what psychopath Kristen Welker looked like, talking to the president of the United States. Maybe if she showed some respect, people would respect her, you know? Listen, I saw the No Kings protests, and, you know, I'm starting to think that maybe we do need a king, because this shit's insane. The president, Donald Trump, is the president of all the American people, whether you like him or not. Unfortunately, we live in a democracy, not a constitutional republic, which is what we should be living in. And even if we make believe that we're living in a democracy, the elections are also fucking crooked as shit. Just think about how absolutely insane it is that the American people, the majority of the American people, voted in Donald Trump despite whatever, you know, retard establishment slant went the other way on the mandate to deport all the illegals, and the response for the left was literally to burn our country down, to throw bricks at police officers and dox their families and shoot ICE officers and assassinate politicians and shoot podcasters, and, you know, that's we just have to live with that, I guess. It is absolutely insufferable that we live in a country that they don't respect our king. Oh, but he's not a king. He's the leader of our nation, and he deserves respect. You know, when Joe Biden got cancer, I said, you know, I hope he has a recovery. I hope things go well for him. You know, I'm praying for him. And I think Joe Biden was the worst president in history of the nation, and he committed treason. But this absolutely sucks. It really does. I just found out that my aunt, a lifelong Republican, voted for a Democrat in California. This never would have happened if she was alive. Yeah, many such cases. So pay attention to the bullshit that we are about to witness. So Donald Trump tweeted, "Has anyone been watching the crooked election going on in California? 2 great Republican candidates are both being cheated, and so is America, which, if the Democrats are able to fulfill their mission, great trouble and consternation will follow. Watch this election closely. President Donald J. Trump." And he's right. He's just right. So we all remember this image, this fateful image in 2020, where it makes it seem like the Democrats won the 2020 election because poof, they got you know, they got a really sexy 400,000 votes just immediately. And wow, you know, the Republicans ahead the entire time, and then all of a sudden 400,000 new votes come in for the Democrats at the same time. You know, a lot of people found that relatively suspicious. You know, at 6 in the morning, all of a sudden 400,000 new votes came in. That's pretty weird. Well, we're witnessing the new one, the new screenshot of terror. This is the LA mayor primary, all right, where you had over here the guy in the front runner over here, and then all of a sudden mail-in ballots come in, and boof, in come the mail-in ballots, and that's absolute insanity. Just absolute insanity. Holy fucking shit. This makes no sense, right? Literally third place by a massive margin when it comes to the in-person voting, and then mail-in ballots. It beats the other 2 candidates. Yeah, right. No one's buying this. In fact, on election night, and Raman, right, the person who came in third place before they cheated, all right, Raman cried and basically gave up the election. She conceded the race because she lost by so much. She lost by 7%. Or more, or 8%. and she conceded the race crying because she knew she lost. And then all of a sudden the machine took over and the mail-in ballots happened and she skyrocketed.
I hope you know that everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you and every child in this city.
Now, so there she is crying. First of all, why are we still electing women, man? Like, we gotta, like, we gotta pay. Okay, anyway. So there she is crying, sobbing like a little bitch. All right, conceding the election, and then the machine takes over, and then she skyrockets all the way up. Isn't that weird? Now, there's something really interesting about California elections in general, because you will notice a lot of weird things. 4 weeks after losing the election as Attorney General of California, Kamala Harris won due to a surge of mail-in ballots from LA. And Harris ended up winning by less than 1%.
4 weeks after the November 2nd.
Never forget, this was in 2010.
Election, California finally has declared a winner in the Attorney General race. Harris finished so close to her Republican opponent that it took a month to finish counting every vote. She won by less than 1 percentage point.
Yeah, except, and you seem to be forgetting, the Republican guy was in the lead the entire time, and then all of a sudden a surge of mail-in ballots come in 4 weeks later, and Kamala Harris wins. This is how the left chooses their plants. They planted Kamala Harris in 2010 through a rigged election, and then all of a sudden, without even a Democratic primary, she was geared up to become president in 2024. Do you understand the level of corruption that we're actually dealing with? And now, if you think it's bad, and it's obvious, you're right. For reasons that you can't even imagine. California is currently blocking a federal audit of its voter rolls. That's how you know they're being honest. You know, because every time I'm being honest, it's when I don't let the referee check if I'm cheating. You know, it's when your opponent says, how many cards do you have in your hand in the middle of a game of poker? And you're like, oh, I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you. Yeah, why not then? Why not? Now, California allows first-time voters to register using forms of ID that most Americans would find surprising, including a gym membership card. You can vote in Los Angeles and California elections with a gym membership card. You don't even need to be a fucking citizen. Employer ID number, credit or debit card, prescription drug label, insurance card. This is fucking bullshit. All right. And now to be clear, California provides free health care to undocumented immigrants, because, they invade the country. And then you get the socialist retards in government vote to take your money, which you earned, and give it to the people that didn't earn it, and then those guys can take the shit that they're getting for free, even though they're illegal in the country, and they can use that to vote. And who do you think they're going to vote for? They're going to vote for the fucking retard that's going to steal your shit. No, duh. And because so many people are too spineless to actually stand up and talk about this, we are literally getting raped by the third world, and we can't do anything about it. We are literally getting outmatched by retards. So what are they afraid of? Why are they blocking federal audits on voter rolls? What is going on? I really think we need to take a stand this time. We can't let this keep happening because it's never going to stop itself. It's not like this is ever going to work itself out. The result of a system is exactly what the system is designed to do, all right? The purpose of the system is what it actually does. The goal here is to win elections by any means necessary because the left is and always was, through every different version of communism and Marxism and Bolshevism, it has always been a means of attaining power by any means necessary, even including revolution. Now, why should you do a violent revolution if you could just cheat in elections? Because retard opponents are going to be too honorable to actually do some fucking shit to figure this shit out. This is absolutely intolerable, all right? Now, of course, Hassan Piker, because there's a clip of this guy for everything, telling people that voted for Spencer Pratt, the right-wing candidate, to kill themselves.
The annoying right-wing shitlibs are celebrating. They're like, oh, dude, Spencer Pratt is doing so well in the fucking race. It's like, I can't say what I want what I want you to do to yourself, because you probably are going to do that to yourself anyway, regardless of whether or not I say it.
Probably not. He's not transgender.
Because there's not much else to live for in your life if this is what you're excited about. If you're genuinely excited about the prospect of Republicans winning races in places like Los Angeles, I'm not going to say it because I don't want to get banned, but I'm thinking it. Okay? I'm thinking it.
He's just so violent. It's incredible. It's honestly insane how violent this guy is. Shocks his dog, for emphasis. You know, it's insane. Now, this is the result of leftist policing. 5 people were stabbed near New York City's Penn Station on Sunday evening. All right? This is just every leftist policy is just let the retards, the criminals, and the savages conquer our nation. It is an actual anarcho-fascist ideology. Anarchy at the lowest ranks of society where the retards could get away with literally everything. And fascism at the top. They will lock you in your house. They will force you to get the vaccine. And they will fucking mask you and shit. They'll take your guns and they'll take your ability to defend yourself. And they will decide on the elections. Why do you think virtually every single billionaire, aside from Elon Musk, votes for Democrats? It is shocking watching the third worldification of society happening in front of us because they are willing to play dirty and steal elections and we're not willing to do anything in return. And everyone knows this is rigged.
So Spencer Pratt is the one, me trying to figure out how the votes get counted in LA. Everybody knows this is bullshit.
Mr. And it's happening again right now in California.
You've never presented rigged.
Right now, it's look at what's happening in California.
Where's the evidence to that?
Where's the evidence? It's rigged. There's so much evidence. She doesn't even want to engage with it. She just wants him to look stupid by saying, "Where's the evidence? Where's the evidence?" Implying that there's no evidence when there is a cornucopia of evidence. There is more evidence this election is rigged than that this woman had a father figure in her lifetime.
It's
the
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. No, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. 4 days, and they aren't.
The way she says it, but the Republicans are doing well. Yeah, they're all doing really well. And then the mail-in ballots come in, then it takes a month to fucking count them, and then all of a sudden they all lose. But they're doing so well.
Even close to coming up with.
That's how they count
You know
the
why
votes
they're doing
in
that? Because they're.
That's just how it happens. That's just how they count votes.
How they count the gats? Yeah, no shit, you
That's the fucking problem.
Stupid bitch. That's the problem. Like,
yes, and everyone's tired of it. And she does it in the most condescending way possible. Most based rage quit of Donald Trump I've ever seen. Yeah, you actually have to treat these people like vermin, I think. I think that is the solution, actually. But that's just how they count it. Yeah, maybe that's a fucking issue, all right? But what do you mean the Somalis shouldn't be able to get all of our money for free? That's just how it works in Minnesota. Yeah, that's not good.
I'm sorry. Look at this graph. I find it very hard to believe that Bass's growth is flat and Ramon's is exploding suddenly. She's been going up. Look at how many votes she's been getting here with all mail-in ballots. Like, I mean, can you make it any more fucking obvious?
Yeah, no, that graph is like that's a cancer diagnosis of the Democrat Party.
Democrats favor mail-in voting more. They care more about mail-in voting. Karen Bass is also a Democrat. Why is Karen Bass not receiving a huge amount of votes as well? Here's Nithya Raman. So she's crying on election night.
I hope you know that every person...
Can you imagine something like this being the leader of your city? Like, this is what generations of weak men and strong women get you. People like this running in elections. Dude, zero masculinity in this. And like, LA, the epicenter of gay. Like, this shit fucking sucks. Can you imagine having your leader crying like a little fucking bitch because she lost her election and then not actually have the stones to admit it when she knows it's obviously rigged? I am so tired of like this hyper-feminized society. And it's honestly, in my opinion, largely a psyop by elites. That's why they shit on religion, because obviously religion demands men actually act like men. So they shit on religion, they completely cut people off from their families, they mind rape them in college, they flip society on its head, they castrate the men, they inject Captain Marvel into the women, and we're produced with like effeminate retard estrogen run societies that just fucking suck in general, can never actually fight back against the machine, and the machine just rapes you.
In this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you, every child in this city.
Nithya Raman conceded the race. She didn't even believe she stood a chance. She knew she lost. Now she's surging past Spencer Pratt 5 days after the election in late night ballot drops. Third world.
They have an election, and 5 days later, they're nowhere close to picking a winner.
State and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be.
Trump's right. Why would you assume that these people are...
Man, if, you know what? If over Trump's entire second term, he can only fucking fix the election process in the United States, that would be such a massive win. It's not even real.
acting in good faith whenever they were allowing billions of dollars of fraud to go out the door. Why would you, for any reason, take their word on anything?
That's how they vote in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked.
I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well, you
continue.
play right into their hands.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid. You know.
Yeah! That's my goat, by the way. That's my goat over there. My orange goat. You're either crooked or you're stupid. Bro, he literally is copying Nuxanor lines. That's what I say about people that vote left, all right? They're either evil or retarded.
By the way.
That these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. Let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I
Thank you,
traveled
darling.
all the way to Wisconsin.
Throws the mic on the ground. Steps on it on the way out.
I traveled all. I know. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
On and off.
The way she, like, fucking victimizes herself. I am the victim. I was abused by you. The way I traveled here to interview the most famous man in the world.
Off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be great with a dishonest
listen,
press.
we traveled
He's right. I wish that he would crash out on these people more.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview.
And there it is. Elon says the reason ID is banned in California is to enable large-scale fraud. When you combine no ID and mail-in voting, fraud is de facto legalized.
There's two things going on here. You've got the late arriving mail ballots. You're allowed to vote by mail, and as long as you post it by election day, they count it up to 7 days after election day. That's next Tuesday. So that's
let me get this straight. You can vote with mail-in ballots and you don't use ID? Right.
Yeah, and then they make believe that there's no fraud. Like, no one believes this, right? Like, no one even remotely believes this.
Biggest pollster is Nate Silver. The fact that California elections can't be resolved for weeks is kind of insane and not common for other electoral systems around the world. Like, honestly, if it's going to take us several weeks to tell you who won the election, is a failed state and it should be much more stigmatized. It's hard to overstate how much of an outlier California is for its slow vote counting relative literally to any other state or almost any other industrialized democracy. So green is California. California can't count quickly. They can. They choose not to. I think they're rigging it. I think they're trying to misrepresent the data. There's something that's happening here, and it's not good.
You know, the craziest thing is everyone was saying that Trump was lying and that 2020 wasn't rigged and Trump was just an idiot for saying this thing. And then you see constantly how every single leftist policy essentially helps elections get rigged easier. You know, mail-in ballots, no ID required, infinite illegal aliens, sanctuary cities. They do all their race-based gerrymandering shit in order to create districts of black people to get more Democrat votes. You know, and as they pander to the criminals and the EBT tribes in order to literally get votes from people who just want to leech off society. The ideal scenario is that somehow we revamp this entire election shit to make sure the elections are fair. And then, after the elections are fair, we vote out democracy and we remove universal suffrage. Because the 19th Amendment, that shit causes every problem in America. But if you think we just blackpill here, you're wrong. I actually don't believe in making money through demoralizing people. Do I look like Tucker Carlson? Donald Trump tweeted this. Not possible for Spencer Pratt to have lost the LA runoffs after the big lead he had. Third world nation. Rigged elections. Now they'll be working on great guy Steve Hilton, the guy for running for governor. Won't have results for possibly 2 weeks, according to officials. Things are happening. The Donald's not going to let this slide. In fact, in one of the biggest moves I've seen in a long time, and this is an update from today, exclusive, the Trump administration plans to announce it is seeking to revoke the citizenship of 17 U.S. citizens accused of immigration fraud, expanding its unprecedented denaturalization campaign, CBS News has exclusively learned. Based, if it starts, that means it's going to continue. We're only getting started, and we're taking our country back. Now, England is not doing very well at all. They are currently getting thronged in the streets over the Henry Novak situation, but also they've recently banned popular Twitch streamer, large leftist, communist, terrorist-supporting, dog-shocking, brothel enthusiast Hassan Piker, known for being a freak around women. You know, very, very positive progressive values. All right, so this guy who was banned from the United Kingdom, right? England banned this guy. He immediately blamed the Jews. So, you know, someone was like, hey, we should have him on British media. We'll ask him some questions, right? He claims he's the victim of the evil Jews and stuff. And honestly, it might be one of the wildest interviews I've ever seen. This guy got absolutely destroyed by the media. This is humiliating because the media sucks. You know, I just watched the Sandpiper interview and you can see why he was banned from the UK. It's he's trying to make believe it's the Jews that got him banned from the UK. They interview him and the entire story just completely falls apart.
What I will disagree with, however, is the intentionality. The idea that October 7 was done specifically to kill as many Jewish people as possible, I think, is incorrect. I think
incorrect. I mean, yes, Hamas literally decided that they were going to massacre a bunch of Jews fighting for peace, peace-loving leftist Jews murdered at a festival, a music festival in the desert, all right? So they murdered, massacred, and raped them, but not because they actually dislike Jews, of course. That's preposterous.
Ultimate goal of the Palestinian resistance, whether we agree with their methods or tactics or not, and I certainly have my disagreements.
Yeah, slight disagreements, mostly that they fucking suck. Palestinian resistance, you might not be aware of this, but they suck. They're losers. They've started tons of wars. They've never won any of them. They're fucking pathetic. Every single Palestinian death can almost be chalked up to the fact that Palestinians fucking suck at things. You know, it's a mix of things. You know, it's low IQ, inbreeding. You know, they take sex slaves. They're pedophiles. Not all of them, of course. Just like, you know, that's their laws. They keep starting wars, losing. They play victim. They start another war. They lose. They play victim again. You know, like that. For example.
The ultimate goal of the
have your disagreements. They killed 1,300 people. And rape people.
Of course.
And he's like, what? Like British lib cuck is like, wait a second. Wait, you have slight disagreements with Hamas, terrorist organization, but they're horrible. They rape and kill people.
Of course.
Innocent young people at music festivals.
But the ultimate goal is to make the occupation as costly as possible.
Because the goal of Hamas by killing people is not to kill people. It's just to stress out Israel. Well, how did that work out for them? I don't know if you heard the news, but Gaza's been absolutely decimated. I don't know if this was in the media anywhere. So he ends up interviewing this guy, Hassan, who claims he's been banned from England for because the Jews got him banned from England, or Israel controls England now too. Yes, the Islamic lobby in England, known to be very pro-Israel. So Israel got him banned, so he goes on the media and he basically just defends the October 7th terror attacks. Horrible, brutal rape and mutilization of women and children in the most horrible, horrifying way ever, which, by the way, let me remind you, caused the entire pretendicide in Gaza. It happened because the Hamas terrorists were so fucking vicious and brutal on October 7th, right? Which is pretty insane. Just an absolute despicable guy, you know, and as it keeps going and it keeps getting worse.
Predicate. You say that Israel is racist, it's based on a racist idea. Hamas is deeply racist. They're anti-Jewish.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think?
Average white guy in America, racist, fascist. Average Christian, racist, supremacist. Average Jew, Zionist, ethnic supremacist. Average Hamas terrorist, loving guy, loves life, doesn't shock dogs. Like, bro, do people even take this guy seriously?
I disagree with
that. The Hamas Charter contains references to fighting Jews as a religious duty, conspiracy claims about Jews controlling the media, finance, revolutions and wars, citations of anti-Semitic forgery in the protocols of the Elders of Zion, and a notorious hadith about Muslims fighting and killing Jews before Judgment Day.
So you're referencing the 1988 charter, which has been updated since 2017, but it doesn't...
It was updated. Now in the new charter, it just says, if there is ever a tree or ever a rock that is a Jew hiding behind, the tree will yell, "Oh, Arab, oh, servant of Allah, there is a Jew hiding behind me. Come and kill the Jew." Yeah, that is literally in the new charter of Hamas. So, I mean, obviously, it's gotten a lot better.
Really matter because the point of the
Hamas
charter
likes Jews
or their opinions. Do I think Hamas likes Jews? I think that there are definitely anti-Semitic people in Palestine.
There are probably a couple of anti-Semitic people in Hamas. How do we even take these people seriously? You know, to quote from the Quran, you know, Jews and Christians are the lowest of creatures, right? Drive them to the edges of the roads, all right? But they actually love Jews and Christians. They respect them, which is why Christian populations are getting genocided in every single Islamic majority country. It's because of how much respect they have for them. Like, bro, how do you even take this guy seriously?
Society as there are in British society, right?
There aren't
That's right. There are a couple of anti-Semitic people in England, just like there are probably a couple of anti-Semitic people in Hamas. You know, the entire movement predicated on the murder and stabbing and killing of Jews everywhere. It's really bad, bro. It's actually really, really bad to make believe this guy's intelligent. It's crazy, actually. Fuck. Bro, like, there's no way we could take this seriously. You know, shock, 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 shock my dog, I can't stop. This is literally television in Gaza, for those of you that are unaware, okay? You might not believe me, but it's true. I swear to God, this is Palestinian television, and you'll tell me that if these people are not actually anti-Semitic. Rawan, I want to tell him to pick up a stone, and when the Jews come to take it and throw it. That's right, the neighbors are Jewish. He should beat them up. If his neighbors are Jewish or Zionist, that goes without saying. Right? And this is basically indoctrination to these kids to become terrorists. Like, I'm not even kidding, right? He's a policeman. What do the police do? They catch thieves and troublemakers. And they shoot Jews, right? Right. You want to be like them? Allah willing, when you grow up, I will shoot the Jews. This is literally children's television. You're going to tell me that these people aren't anti-Semitic? Like, there is no possible way you could possibly have this stance on anything. And this interview just keeps going, with Hassan basically saying that the October 7th mass rape and murder is the same as the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, where Jews in a concentration camp tried to escape. Right? No rape of Nazi women or whatever. They tried to escape and failed and were massacred, as opposed to Hamas, which had the stated goal of killing and murdering as many Jews as they can. You know, and it just keeps going. So, and now all of England is like, wow, holy shit, it's really, really good we banned this guy. This guy fucking sucks. The best part about this is this guy's a libtard. So we got libtard on libtard violence. It's my favorite kind. All right, it's pretty incredible. And, you know, like, he tries to do, like, the whole moral outrage shtick, which doesn't work on me at all.
So you would compare what's happened in Gaza to the Holocaust?
It's not to the same extent, no, but I have compared it to the Holocaust, yes.
Yo, so it's such a good comparison. I mean, the Palestinians started a war and lost miserably. The Jews did not start a war and were massacred in the Holocaust. Also, during the Holocaust, the vast majority of Jews in Europe were killed, as opposed to the war in Gaza, where there are more Palestinians in Gaza right now than there were before the war started. 1% of the population was killed. Yes, an incredibly comparable thing. But and I don't personally care or believe in, like, the grandstanding and shit. I don't believe in, like, the virtue signaling. But, like, dude, we are watching libtards virtue signal on top of each other. But it's the Jewish state, you know, and they're trying to out virtue signal each other. It's just humiliating. It really is. Like, the libtards in England can't stand Hassan. It's just so good. Right? And the best part is, Hassan doesn't actually understand anything about anything. He's actually just retarded. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, this was just from last year, where he didn't know what the Western Wall was.
That I do not know. Like, I mean, I've learned deep lore on this broadcast about Sukkot, about the citrus, about the stick and the tent. It's just a holy wall. I don't know. Wait, what the fuck?
Whoa, the Jewish holiday about the citrus and the stick and the tent? Yo, someone needs to update me on the lore.
You don't know either? How do you not know? You're Jewish. Why do Christians?
And he's like, I don't even know what the wall is. What even is the wall? And bro is some sort of, like, genius in regards to geopolitical commentary on the Middle East. Bro, if you want to talk about racism, Islam is a racist ideology. I love how everyone's like, oh, Zionism. Yeah, right. Islam is a racist ideology that views themselves as superior to any other form of person on the planet. Everyone else that doesn't submit to Muhammad and Islam is considered a wild beast. It's honestly insane watching these people run circles around like they're insane retardism. So while Hassan Piker is going out there talking about how Hamas is actually super nice people just trying to fight for the freedom of retards who keep starting wars and losing, all right, suspected Hamas terrorists busted for a plot to bomb an Israeli cruise ship. Right? They obviously did that to free Palestine, right? This was all to free Palestine. You know, what the hell is Zach Polanski doing? Right, so Zach Polanski is the leader of the Green Party in England, right? The Green Party is the communists and the Islamists. It's weird how they work together so often. It's almost like their goal is aligned, and they have the stated goal of just destroying Western civilization. The communists refuse to have children, so they need to import Islamists, and then the Islamists vote for the communists to give them shit that the actual, you know, white people actually worked hard for. All right, it's literally, it's a match made in hell. It's perfect. All right, so what the hell is Zach Polanski doing wearing a shirt to free the Palestinian terrorist Marwan Barghouti? Bro, England is so fucked. Who murdered 5 civilians? It's like, bro, what are we doing? Mahmoud Khalil, the guy who's about to get deported from the United States, says, free Marwan and all of our political prisoners. He's a Syrian, by the way. But, you know, everyone could be a Palestinian if you just make believe enough. Please, we must free our political prisoners like Marwan. Yeah, Marwan Barghouti was the leader of the Tanzim, a terrorist organization, and he raped and murdered Christian girls. All right, so this is the guy who's being advocated for the release by Mahmoud Khalil, who's going to be deported from America soon, and Zach Polanski, the leader of the Green Party in England. Just trying to help you understand exactly what's going on here. Like, you just read this shit, it's insane. All right, so the Tanzim in Bethlehem, right, that's in Israel, purposely shoot from churches and holy sites in an attempt to invite a response that will generate harsh criticism for the international and Christian communities. Moreover, the militias are composed of criminals who rob and rape Christian women and operate in mafia style. For them, leadership means power, money, and Christian women. All right, so just to be clear, the leader of this group is the guy that they're campaigning in England to try to release. They just hate you. They just hate you and your culture and your society, and they want you dead. They will import people that will take your oak door and use that oak door as firewood. All right? You don't understand. They hate your culture and they want you destroyed. Mahmoud Khalil is calling for the release of a man convicted of orchestrating a suicide bombing in Tel Aviv. Bro, and I'm supposed to make believe these people aren't terrorist supporters? You know? And it's like, oh, they're not just terrorists. They're just criticizing Israel. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. You know, bosses at a leading UK Islamic charity feared more than 350,000 pounds in donations to Gaza actually went to Hamas terrorists. Wow. No way. Really? No. I'm so shocked and surprised. Hamas commander Ahmed Siam held 1,000 Gazans at gunpoint to block them from leaving the Rantisi hospital, using them as human shields before hiding at Al-Burak school. IDF reported killing him November 10th, 2023. Hamas now admits he was indeed the commander killed as the IDF originally claimed. You know, here we are years later, and all of a sudden the lies are falling apart. All the propaganda is disappearing. Bro literally forced 1,000 civilians to stay in a hospital to use them as human shields. And Hassan Piker will be like, oh, these people are they're just really fluffy, nice, kind people trying to fight for a freer Palestine. Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. You know, if you forgot this picture, then you don't know what you're fucking dealing with. Yeah, this guy, the Hamas terrorist that does like the ISIS salute and breaks into the fucking house and murders the grandma. Yeah, this guy, he's just, he doesn't want to kill Jews. He actually is a very peace-loving individual. Right, so all of England cannot stand Hassan, all right? They banned him. He's retarded. Everyone knows that he's just openly supporting terrorists at this point. And every time he tries to downplay his support for terrorists, he just winds up defending them way more. And it's insane. Now, there is a situation with the Henry Novak that everyone's talking about. Henry Novak, again, innocent man, murdered by a Sikh migrant, stabbed him 5 times. The police came, they, chained up the victim and let him bleed out and die on the floor because the Sikh claimed that there was racism. So the police immediately believed the Sikh, and who was still holding his ceremonial knife for religious purposes only, which he used to stab Henry Novak. But the truth is, Henry Novak is not an isolated incident. Heartbreakingly enough, there are many, many Henry Novaks. And the media did everything they could to squash this. The Netherlands also has a Henry Novak cases. In July 2020, 14-year-old Tamar, all right, this girl over here, 14-year-old Tamar from Marken was hit by a car on a dark road and left to die. Her body was later found in the berm. What happened next is deeply disturbing. The police initially told her mother that the driver was German. Days later, the truth came out. It was 4 Iraqis in the car. The mother was told they withheld the real background because they didn't want to create a Wilders effect. They didn't want to give Wilders political ammunition. He was the anti-migration party, so they just didn't want to give him ammo. So they were like, nope, it was just some Germans that hit this girl with the car. It gets worse. Evidence strongly suggests Tamar's body was moved after the accident. The driver didn't just flee, they dragged her off the road and left her like an animal in a ditch. The driver received a 1,500 euro fine and never paid it. Unfucking believable. Just like Henry Novak in Southampton, an innocent young person dies. Authorities seem more focused on protecting a narrative and avoiding political incorrectness than delivering swift justice. 14-year-old dies in a Dutch dike. The system lies about the identity of the driver, gives him a slap on the wrist, loses him for years, and only after massive pressure does the prosecution begin. Dude, and this is everywhere, literally everywhere. And this is what happens when the left gets its wish for equality of outcome. Because, yeah, if you start just arresting people based on the amount of crimes they commit, then you're going to have to arrest so many more Muslims. Bro, the black community is going to be in shambles. Shit like that. We don't want that, of course. So we have to arrest the same amount of Muslims as white people. No matter how many commit crimes, no matter how many crimes happen, all right, we have to make sure that equality of outcome, we have the same amount of people in all the prisons. And because of that, they literally have to sweep these cases under the rug and run defense for them on a political level. You are not nearly angry enough. And the truth is, we only know about situations like this because of the internet, because Elon Musk bought Twitter. In fact, Elon Musk retweeted this story. He said, heartbreakingly, suicidal empathy is becoming homicidal empathy. And that's basically where we're at right now as a society. The globalists, the retards that are importing the people into the countries and devising political systems to scam us, it's actually done intentionally. The purpose of a system is what the system does. And we see just the trail of bodies that we just have to watch pile up until something actually happens. Well, something is happening. People are really tired. Really tired. The fatigue is insane right now. So this just happened in England. A lot of people are very tired of this situation, all right? And the libtard, like, you know, cringe, you know, Karen expression looking at you like, you're racist. That shit doesn't work anymore on anyone.
This is a far leftist in the UK going viral. Who's this, Karen? Absolutely incredible.
It really is insane. It really is
Clip.
insane.
Every woman in this room.
Remember, she's from the Green Party. Just to be clear, the same party whose leader is trying to get a Palestinian terrorist who murdered 5 people, orchestrated suicide bombings, and raped Christians, trying to get that guy freed from jail. That is what he's currently campaigning on. Right? Understand what we're dealing with. In the West, there are people in England arrested for social media posts, but the actual left political parties don't give a shit. They're not going to try to get those people out of jail. They're going to try to get Israel to release an actual terrorist who orchestrated a suicide bombing. That is what the actual political party is campaigning for. The ultimate LARP. So anyway, she's part of that party. So obviously she's part of the party that, you know, wants Jews to get killed and Christians to get raped. That is basically the ideology of the far left these days. If you pay attention, you'll notice it.
And at home has been subject to shaming in person or online.
And that's disgusting. Based. Let's fucking go. Based. Shaming is good, actually. We should bring shame back to society. Unfortunately, a lot of these leftists, they really insulated themselves very, very, very well. Because, you know, they do everything. They're like, yo, women, all y'all need to become infinite whores. Spread your legs for the generation. And then all of a sudden, they have no shame for things anymore. You have to work a lot harder to shame them all of a sudden. Because, you know, on a societal level, they have been taught that actually it's brave and powerful to become the town urinal. You know? It's actually really empowering to be the village cumsock. And that's how it will go. And now all of a sudden, it's much more difficult to shame these people. But don't worry, I'm trying my best. Don't worry. I am driven and I'm trying.
It's horrible, yeah.
Look at that face she makes.
I think you're just proving my
why do we still have women in politics? Why do we still have women in politics? I'm just kidding.
point. A man like you cannot sit and do a simple apology. I think is disgraceful. But on top,
it's so disgraceful. I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna say that you're disgraceful, bro. Could you imagine, bro? She needs a husband immediately. I mean, poor guy, but someone needs to take this bullet. Okay. Imagine being a man, working your butt off, getting to a position to be talked like this, talked down to by this bitch. Can you imagine that? Where have we? How far have we fallen as a society, man? Strong men make good times make weak men make strong women, and strong women make bad times. It's time for strong men to come back.
Yeah, we're sorry that we imported people in that view women on the same level as livestock into the country, and they're objectifying and harassing you.
I can't believe, as a mum of a young daughter, I'm having
that poor little girl.
2020
or boy. Listen, that young daughter could be any gender you want.
And make the case for me and my daughter to have the right for equal pay.
No,
this is what the Reform Party stand for.
Yeah, bro, there is equal pay. This shit's bullshit. Like, no one's still making believe that there's a wage gap. Like, you've got to stop.
They are a party that has a problem with women, and they need to sort it out.
They have a problem with women, and they want equal pay. Well, here's how you can immediately disprove this, by the way. If women were able to be paid less money to do the exact same job, every company would only hire women.
It's almost like it's just not true.
They're not doing that. And so very clearly this isn't true.
I only really recently...
Dude, it's not true on every single level. It's like, again, the leftist mind only cares about the outcome. They don't care about the process. Which is why they're like, if you arrest more Muslims than white people, then you're a racist. You're Islamophobic if you do that. You don't want to question about the fact that, hey, but that religion believes in taking sex slaves. Maybe that has something to do with it. Nope, you're obviously racist. the equality of outcome is the only thing that matters to these people. So they'll say that, well, women on average get paid less than men. True. That is actually objectively true. However, the process is not something anyone wants to talk about. They're paid equally for the same job, but women don't take any of the higher risk or higher paying jobs. So yeah, on average, they're paid less because on average, they get bullshit degrees and do bullshit work compared to men. That's just objectively true. So she thinks that someone who has a degree in underwater lesbian butt sex should be paid the same salary as a welder or miner. Like, that's bullshit. That is absolute retarded. No one believes this.
Got involved in politics in this way. I'm actually on maternity leave at the moment.
And that is the reason why women get paid less. I'm going to be real here. Let's be honest. If I hire a woman, then that woman is going to get maternity leave. And that woman is going to, for 4 days every month be in a really bad mood. And I just have to put up with that. That's just like, oh, well, that's just how life goes. Yeah, now you have to hire an equal amount of women as men, or you're a sexist. And you have to pay them equally as men, or you're a sexist. But also, they can't work as hard. They can't work as much. They take time off all the time, and that's how life goes. I'm sorry, man. I believe in capitalism. So I believe your worth is dictated by the free market.
I mean, you look at the Green Party politics, I think it make the country a hell of a lot more dangerous with drugs on the streets and no prisons. So when when the Green candidate is
And she makes like please, no prisons actually makes it so much better.
Are the Green Party suggesting no prisons?
One of them did in Scotland.
We know that if you're black, you're 2 times more likely to be arrested.
Yeah, because they commit double the crimes. This shit sucks, man. Like, no one needs to make believe this is in fact, probably more than double the crimes. 13% commit 50% of the crimes. Like, that's a crazy statistic. They commit 3.5 times as many crimes per capita as white people. So, sorry. That's what I told you. They just believe in equality of outcome. They don't believe in equality of opportunity. They don't believe in the process. The outcome is the only thing that matters to them. And it's not, in my opinion, a lot of them aren't actually just retarded. A lot of them are just evil, and they manipulate the retards.
Why? Why is that? Nobody knows why.
Racism. They say racism, so they don't actually need to explain anything.
The mystery. How can you ever solve a problem if you can't say what the problem is?
It's not just Henry's parents that are worried about their son, and it's every single parent of a son, a daughter who's worried and calling them up and saying, make sure you take the safe way home tonight. Make sure you're with a friend.
Yeah.
Why are the cities so unsafe? They were so much safer before when people got arrested for crimes and before you imported infinite jungle ethnicities into the country. Right, let's be real here.
Because we don't know what's going to happen on our streets.
I know what'll solve that. Importing more people that could have been in the Taliban.
And I know for a fact that friends and neighbors are having...
I love these people. These people are incredible. Like, they're just actually fucking retarded. Like, she'll sit there and make, like, her cringe expressions, and she'll be like, mothers are scared that their daughters aren't safe. No, it has nothing to do with importing Muhammad
having those conversations with their children. And that is something I do not believe we stand for as a country. I believe we are a country that is tolerant.
In a just society, you would just tell this bitch to shut up and get off the stage. This is...
In a just society, she would have never gone onto the stage in the first place. I'm sorry. Society has failed to the point that we have women like that on a stage talking to people. I'm sorry, bro. Absolutely not. If she truly cared about her children, she would marry a very successful guy that could take care of her and her kids and protect them, and she would be at home raising her kids as we speak. If she cared about her kids, that's what she would do. But she doesn't care about her kids. She has a huge ego, and she cares about herself.
This is the only point in, as far as I know, all of human history that we're even listening to this. This is such a colossal waste of everybody's time to listen to this slop.
Welcomes our diversity. One thing I do want to say is that the idea of blaming our housing crisis on immigration is absolutely wild.
Do you think... It's so wild. Bro, there are millions more people. You need millions more houses. You don't have them. It goes up in value. Bro, this is retarded. Like, she's like, it's racist to be mad at immigrants, so therefore, we can't use our brains.
But if we lock down our borders, we're going to solve the housing crisis.
What a retarded hag. It wouldn't solve the housing crisis, but it would make it easier to address.
The thing is, the more people...
like, the funny thing is, mass deportations would help the housing issue because now all of a sudden you'd have a lot less people that need houses. It would help traffic problems, or it would help stabbing problems. It would help fucking turf wars and shit like that between rival religions and ethnicities that fucking hate each other. because they came when the jungle people came from the fucking jungle and they hated each other. You know, they brought their animosity with them to our great nations. All right, you know, that shit sucks, and we shouldn't need to deal with that.
You have in a country, the more houses you're going to need. I know it might sound...
He's really good at explaining things like this, isn't he?
Yeah, because it's true.
You using immigration on the issue of housing, I think, is absolutely...
Are you saying it has no impact on housing?
I think Andy wanted to come in.
Do you want to just answer that question for
Yeah,
us? Do you think it has
Does
no impact on
immigration have an effect on housing?
Look at all these people. Every single person knows that obviously if there's more people in the country, then it's going to have an impact on housing. Every single person knows, and they're just staring at her. And they're like, will you lie to our faces?
Whoever lives in this country has an impact on housing, of course.
Yeah. So why the fuck should we import people that shouldn't be in this country?
All right.
The numbers of people in a country. That's not necessarily...
So yes.
To do with immigration.
It has nothing to do with immigration. The number of people in the country has nothing to do with immigration.
Oh my God. It's actually insane how much I hate these people. I cannot even express how much I hate them. Like, these are the worst people of any civilization in time, in all of our time. There is,
strong women? True.
I cannot even say it. You know what? I will not even say anymore. I will not.
Yeah, bro, it's terrifying. Listen, man, everyone thinks you can't criticize the Jews. Bro, you can't criticize women. Everyone criticizes the Jews. But for some reason, we have elevated the retard class to just sit there, make condescending faces at you, spew their bullshit, which they know is not true, but because they think with their emotions instead of their brains, all of a sudden we just have to, you know, make believe this shit exists. The reality is, it's not women that's the issue, obviously. It's liberal women that's the issue. Obviously. Bro, they need God. They need God immediately. That is the diagnosis I've made. Okay, moving on. Now, ironically, no one in the country, in my opinion, is doing better at discrediting the left than Caleb Hammer. All right, so Caleb Hammer does financial audits on people that request to come on his show and get their finances audited because they're broke, because mostly their life decisions are awful, and it basically comes down to leftist policy is cancer. The best part about this entire situation is that it's not a political show. It is purely about finances, and that is exactly why it's destroying the left. So Joe Rogan just had him on. The left is having a meltdown. They're saying he's a plant, even though he's just a wildly popular podcaster. And the left is like, no, how dare you expose that we are scamming the government of millions of dollars, making it believe that we're all disabled. Oh, how dare you? And it's just insane. So this was just going viral, and it's pretty wild, actually.
How are you making money?
Oh, I'm a VA disability with dependents. We have 2 kids.
Right. Okay. 4,700 twice a month?
No, I make 4,700 once a month, and he makes 3,600 twice a month, and it equals between 11 and 12.
Are you going to get disability too? Oh, yes, I will. There is not a single veteran that has come on the show that does not just get endless money for the rest of their life with disability.
It breaks your body and
really
mine.
Does. I'm old. I've done a lot. I'm a police officer for the Navy. So I've done a lot of hardworking stuff throughout the time. Which I got issues all around.
But even people that just served for like 3 years and they just sat on a base, they get it. Like, there has not been one single person on this entire show that doesn't get thousands of dollars for the rest of their life. I think.
Understand how cancerous our welfare state is, okay? And the craziest part is, this is just exposing it all. Like, this isn't a political show. It's like, wait a second, but you're not disabled. Why are you taking all of this money from our taxes? And it's like, oh, because we can. Because the system is designed that we could just break it. Because it turns out people with zero moral principle can actually just, I don't know, rape you. Hi, I'm a fat retard, completely due to my own life choices, and now you, the taxpayer, are going to need to fund my lifestyle, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I think it's like 5% of our budget now.
It's something.
It's something crazy.
Yeah, 5% of our budget is, in my opinion, probably fraud.
Crazy like that.
This is disabilities forever.
Well, they serve their country, and they probably have earned it.
It's disability.
It's disability. They get paid for serving their country. I'm not downplaying service. I think that our officers, our Navy, our veterans are fucking awesome. But they get paid for it. They get paid stipends for that. They get retirement bonuses and stuff like that. Whatever it is. Maybe that's not even enough. You know what? I would be much more inclined to increase the pay of every single one of our soldiers and military officers. But I am against scamming the country indefinitely through disability. Because you know it's going to be the actual fucking slime balls that do it.
Yeah, I get that, but there's things that when you serve your country and you break your body or you can't function
totally
the
agree.
same
I'm
way.
saying every single
person that has ever been on this show who has literally just sat at a base and did nothing.
And I
also
a lot of
gets
them.
this.
I know a lot of them. Yes. They will be able to claim some stuff. Yes.
I'm not saying if you go get hurt or anything. Like, I think that's why it's there, right?
True. Yes.
Right. That's what it's intended for.
That's what it's intended for. But, whew.
Yeah, so it turns out almost every single person is just trying to scam the welfare system in one way or another, and it's because of their own bad life choices, and it's insane. Now, he has all sorts of interesting people on his show, and it's exposing all the retards of the world, because nothing radicalizes you more than just seeing an average normie who has nothing to gain by lying come on the show and just teach you how they are destroying your goodwill. Right? He gets these guys too, obviously.
I think they're behind everything since like JFK. I'm just gonna
They being the Jews. Bro, there is a brain rot issue in this country.
air it out because we're at that point.
Who did 9/11?
The Jews.
Who killed Charlie Kirk?
Israel. Israel's behind it.
What the f?
Yeah, no, so again, there are a special amount of retards in this country that are just kind of wandering around, bumping into shit. And this exposes the fact that, yes, we are living in a victim mentality survival universe where you have everyone on the left who's a victim. You're a black guy, you're a victim because of slavery. You're a white guy, but you're a victim because of the Jews. You're a Jew, you're a victim because of the Holocaust. You're a Muslim, you're a victim because Palestinians keep starting wars and losing, and that affects you somehow. And this is a left-wing, almost exclusive issue. It does bleed into the right. Obviously, on the retard right, you have this issue too. But it is largely left-wing because one of the fundamental principles of conservative politics is that every single one of us was made in the image of God. We have been given free will, and we have been given tests that we need to overcome. God told Abraham, sacrifice your firstborn, and Abraham wasn't like, oh, shucks, why me? Obviously, God ended up pulling the, it's just a prank, bro, and Abraham didn't need to do that. But the ideology, the victim ideology, is an inherent anti-God left-wing stance. And honestly, that's why I think people like Caleb Hammer are destroying the left. Because it turns out so much of the victim mindset, so much of the self-flagellating and victim mentality, and I need to get infinite free money from the government because I am a gay retard. This show exposes how almost every single one of those people got themselves in their fucked up situation because of their own incredibly bad life decisions. Because the truth is, whether you acknowledge that it's a test from God that you could overcome or not, it remains a test from God that you could overcome or not. So Caleb Hammer went on Joe Rogan. Everyone's really mad about it. This is a clip talking about the victim mentality, and I'm really glad that this is getting brought to a main stage.
Again, what you're saying earlier about social media and these echo chambers is really important because in their world, this is the only thing to do. And that's...
Yeah, bitch. Much like victim mentality, bitching is also a left-wing trait, which is why most women vote left. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke.
It all just gets this feedback loop where it's the right thing to do, the only thing to do, and they come up with reasons why it's not working and then call everybody Nazis.
Yeah, and that's why also those echo chambers are why, when polled, younger people are more okay with violence against people on the other side of the political aisle from them, which is a very scary place to go.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
It's not just younger people, it's specifically left-wing younger people. And it's really obvious. You don't have... Dude, Nick Fuentes is considered like the neo-Nazi guy. He's horrible, whatever. He never calls for violence ever. Charlie Kirk was his arch nemesis, and when Charlie Kirk died, Nick Fuentes was like, this was an absolute atrocity. It was a tragedy. He was a Christian man, and he died, and it was horrible. You know, and he was literally Nick Fuentes' arch nemesis. They hated each other. So the idea that this is like a both sides issue is completely false, and everyone knows that.
Especially when I see death threats all the time in my inbox and, you know, doxing and shit.
And where does he get those death threats from? I bet you all of his death threats are coming from leftists. I get death threats. They come from leftists and Muslims exclusively. I don't think I've ever gotten a death threat that wasn't from a leftist or a Muslim. I'm not even exaggerating. I can't think of a single one.
Like that, they call me a fascist for saying don't spend more money than you make. Okay, so I'm a fascist.
That's right. There it is.
Just now I'm afraid for my life and I have to get security and all this stuff. It's crazy.
So you get threats for like what specifically do they get upset at? It's literally just saying don't spend your money?
It's everything. They don't like that I do roast. Consensual roast. Like I call a fat bitch a fat bitch. But I had the conversation with her before, and if she didn't want me to, I wouldn't have done that. Because we have a no-no list where people get to say what they don't want us to talk about, and then I just won't talk about that. But
that's very nice of you.
It is very nice. That's because we try to run, a moral, consensual show, all that good stuff. Right. But I love to roast people and just call out their features and just dumb shit like that. So people get offended by that, offended on behalf of someone who's not offended in the first place, and then they get very angry.
Many such cases.
I got a death threat on Twitter yesterday for saying Americans spend too much money on cars.
Just one?
He said I should, that it's crazy that Caleb Hammer is still breathing air and that he should come up from San Antonio and kill me or something. I don't remember. It was something like that. It's kind of crazy because Americans spend too much money on cars.
Maybe he sells cars.
Maybe, but objectively, we do.
Did you check his profile? Is it a real person?
It said San Antonio. That's all I know. That's all I know. I'm sure it was like a
could be a bot.
Second profile. He was responding to it. He was excited. You know, he got his
could be a
attention.
crazy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get emails all the time.
Welcome to the internet, by the way. And it's the craziest thing in the world. You have an opinion I don't like. Now you must die. Yeah, that's where it is. You know, violence isn't violence, but words is violence. You know, if you say the N-word, we're going to fucking kill you. But killing you is not violent. Bro, you can't even make this shit up. Like, you have the Carmelo Anthony trial going on right now. Black guy stabbed a white kid in cold blood, murdered him for no reason, admitted that he murdered him to the cops. All right, he's in court right now. All right. And then you got like the EBT tribes being like, no, we're going to protect our own. And it's like, fuck you. Oh my God.
No, people think I'm evil because they say I don't talk about the issues that led us here in the first place. But it's a personal responsibility show because more people have agency than they're willing to acknowledge.
It's almost like God was right when he gave us free will. And it's actually true. And actually, we're not just endless little clusters of carbon whizzing throughout space where nothing matters or something. It's actually like your choices matter. It's actually like the tests that you receive in your lifetime are usually tests that you can overcome. And if you don't, it's actually usually your fault.
Right. Like, we're in the highest disposable income society in the history of human existence.
True.
Not everything's perfect. Cost of housing's gone up.
The poorest person in America today is richer than your average serf in medieval times. All right, and no one wants to acknowledge that. There is no starvation crisis. No one is dying of hunger. The fact that, okay, this is going to get controversial. The fact that no one starved to death in Gaza, okay, during the war, okay, not one documented starvation case happened there, okay, and you're going to sit here and tell me that we are suffering and everyone's starving. Bitch, we're all fat. All right, we got an obesity crisis. All right, we don't have a starvation crisis. If you're actually really hungry and you go to your local church, they will give you food.
Cost of school's gone up. Cost of healthcare's gone up. We can acknowledge those realities. But people have agency. People have agency. The amount of going out to eat among the Generation Z is insane compared to any other generation. And not only that.
And you know what? I'm going to hit you with the truth nuke that a lot of people don't want to acknowledge. And I'm going to defend Generation Z, sort of. It's really hard. It's really hard. You know, I really like the idea that this is going to sound horribly sexist, but my wife makes food, and it's fucking awesome. It's healthy, and it's cost-effective, and it's delicious, and it's made with love. But if we live in a society where there isn't the stay-at-home partner, there is the one partner that's busting ass and the other partner that's busting ass, you know, it makes it a lot harder. You know, no one wants to actually acknowledge the fact that we have destroyed so much society through progressivism.
Yeah, but now for 25% of their going out to eat multiple times a week is getting food delivered. And that has a 90% markup. 90%. And then they're complaining that they can't afford to pretty much do anything, get a nice apartment or whatnot. But if we're spending like $1,000 a month, which is very normal for a person on my show, going out to eat, you're right, you can't get an apartment of your dreams when $1,000 a month is going to McDonald's and other places. Cooking at home's become like a burden, become a victim complex now. Well, actually, that was another thing that triggered the internet. I kind of agreed with Kevin O'Leary when it said, oh, young people are broke because they spent $28 going out to eat. Well, it's not that specifically only, but it's the death of of 1,000 cuts. And yes, just $28 3 times a week becomes an actual halfway decent retirement fund if you put it in the S&P 500 for a few times a week. That does put off future goals that you have. And the internet went crazy against me. They hated me for suggesting that they shouldn't be able to. They're like, well, how do we eat?
Well, it's an entire culture that doesn't believe in investing in the future. Hello, they are literally castrating themselves and aborting their children and justifying it in their minds. All right, this is not at all a society that invests in the future at all. All right, look at the replacement rate. Look at the birth rate, okay? It's insane. All right, so yes, I don't think they plan ahead because I think they are taught from coming out of the uterus, all right, into the college and school systems. They are taught that they are just carbons whizzing through space and nothing matters. They are not taught from the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread, Genesis chapter 2. They are not taught be fruitful and multiply, Genesis chapter 2. I don't think they made it to Genesis chapter 2.
Groceries, meal prep, meal plan. This is what everyone's done since forever. We live in the best period ever for humans. Best period ever. Our jobs are better. Everything's better. Even when you think of like buying the starter home in the 50s and whatever, you know, they were like the size of this room that we're in right now, mass produced. Okay, that's still a home that's great you could buy, but you were going to a job that you hated, that you were sweating, that had no AC, where you're working with your hands all day, and it was miserable. They didn't like the jobs. They liked that they had a good paying job. But now people go to the office.
We literally live in the greatest time in history, and these people just fucking suck. They suck.
And they think they're a victim.
You know, sometimes, you know, I'm reading the Bible, okay? I'm reading the Bible, and, you know, they're all the Israelites are in the desert, and these guys, they do not stop complaining, right? Bro, God just took you out of Egypt, okay? Split the sea, all right? Turned the rivers into blood, slaughtered every firstborn Egyptian that was, like, enslaving you, all right? Takes you into the desert, gives you magic food that comes down from heaven, all right? And then they're complaining! And they're complaining! And I'm like, bro, how are these people complaining so much? You know, I figured it out. I literally figured it out. You can have everything on a silver platter, and you will find an opportunity to bitch.
Them for not being able to meal prep before going to the office, the AC'd office. Like, it's hard for me to sympathize with that, especially when I film 3 of them a week. All 100% real people, mostly Gen Z and millennials, who are absolute victims in everything. They are victims in everything. They think if they don't get a 2027 brand new car instead of a 2025 car, that they're going to die. That all of a sudden cars 2 years ago were the most dangerous things. They have to get a $60,000 to $70,000 car loan at a 20% interest rate, or else their kids will die.
You've actually had that conversation?
Oh, every
Where they think
time.
that they're going to die?
No, because the excuses they use is that I wanted a safe car for my kids. That's fine. But it's the insinuation that 2024, 2023, 2022 cars would literally go on the highway and blow up. Like, I don't understand. They insist if they don't get a brand new car, that it is not a safe car. That is an argument every time with Americans. The $1.6 trillion or $1.5 trillion in car loan debt.
So do you think that's just a lack of education? Because like a car from 2020 is just...
To an extent, I think a lot of it's ego. I think we have unbelievable unchecked egos in society. Unfortunately, we live in a society where people don't actually work on themselves to try to make themselves better people. Because the idea of making yourself a better person and repenting and growing, again, it is an inherently religious, conservative concept that, and this is going to be controversial, the left hates. The left just hates God. Sorry to keep bringing it back to this, but I really think that that's the source of the victim mentality shit. It really comes from this idea that because in your subjective view, the universe is unfair to you, now you need to literally just sit there and bitch for eternity. And frankly, I think that the infinite bitching comes from a place of lack of faith and huge egos.
As safe as a car.
You know, a huge ego. A lot of people think that being modest is being like, ah, shucks, I didn't really do anything. I'm a loser. I'm a worm. I am just a worm. That's not being modest. All right. That's not having a small ego. Having a big ego is thinking that you are doing everything and that it's not coming from God. Having a big ego is saying, the universe is unfair. I deserve all the things and therefore I'm going to bitch forever. Having a small ego, being a modest person, is recognizing that these struggles that I'm going through, for whatever reason that I cannot possibly comprehend, God wanted me to go through this and come out the other side stronger. But hey, that's just my philosophy, and you can disagree, but that's my take.
2026. There's no difference.
Absolutely.
There's no difference in airbags, no difference in anti-lock brakes. There's very few differences in any of the technology involved. In fact, I tell people, especially people that want a nice car, one of the best investments you can get is get an electric car that's about 2 years old. Like electric Porsches and electric Audis in particular, fucking nobody wants them, man. Nobody wants the used ones, and they're still great.
Oh yeah.
And like, okay, let's look up an Audi e-tron. Look up a 2023 Audi e-tron. How much does it cost now to buy, and what was it new? I think it's like less than 50%. Yeah. So there's certain cars where you buy them and they're worth as much a couple of years later, like a nice BMW or a Porsche. Like you could get an M5, a BMW M5, and then sell it a year or two later and lose very little money, if any. You get a fucking electric car and you try to sell that bitch in a couple of years, like an electric Porsche. Okay, look at this. 2022 Audi e-tron, $25,000.
I'm shocked. That's even less than I thought.
2023 Audi e-tron, $27,000. Do you know how fucking crazy that is? That is a 2023 amazing...
This is the most Jewish podcast I've ever listened to in my life.
...car. Those cars are fucking incredible. It's a technological tour de force. They're fast as shit. It's all-wheel drive. It's an SUV. A premium plus quattro, $27,000. It only has 37,000 miles on it. Those things don't have engines, like a combustion engine. Yeah. They don't have nearly the kind of maintenance that a regular car does. Yeah. You don't have to change the oil. You just plug that bitch in. You have a fucking amazing car. Yeah, the battery range is not the longest.
That's the excuse they use.
226 miles is plenty for you to get to work and get home and go out dinner, and you can plug that bitch in. I have a Tesla, and it has like, it's a Model S. What does a Model S have? 340?
I can understand this argument. That
I have a Tesla too. It's fucking good. What can I say? True.
This person might not have anywhere then to charge it unless
That's an
it's
issue.
at their
That's
work.
so easy to get in your house now.
But
if you live in an apartment, that's totally
yeah.
fair.
Yeah, and if you go to one of those charging stations, you're very vulnerable. If I was a chick, I'd never get an electric car if I didn't have a house.
You have to do it every single day.
Every day.
Versus
Fair
like
enough.
gas
Every day.
station once
That's
every
true.
10 days or something.
And like, how long does it take to charge up one of those bitches?
30 to 45 minutes.
So you'd have to 30, 40 minutes every day. Yeah.
That's fair enough.
That's fair.
For the
but you're
apartment
getting
members.
a fucking bitchin' car for 27 grand.
And more apartment complexes are installing those charging stations anyway, that you can just leave your car overnight.
I live in one, and you can never actually get to the thing.
Oh.
Why is it? Because someone's always in there?
Gets to it and they never move their fucking car.
Oh, they keep it plugged
and
in.
I don't know whose it is. You can go call them, and yeah.
Flatten their tires. Don't do that. I'm just kidding.
But I try to think of options,
They're
right?
broken, too.
Because there's even the options of the place you work might have one. Right outside my building,
Joseph
there's
Rogan.
where we film is multiple car charging places. Park in, you go to work. So I'm not saying everyone can do it, but
if you can
there's
do
options.
it, it's a great option.
But even still, you can get used gas cars for relatively similar, but they will defend to the death on my show having to get a $60,000
Because
large
they need to look good. It's all about the ego. It's about what will the friend think, or what will my homie think if he sees I got an old car.
SUV at an insane interest rate for an 8-year loan, 8-year term. Crazy. But no, you asked me why are they doing it? It's American, baby. That's American. That's freedom. You need a car to get to your job, and you need a job to get to your car. And our culture is built around the house and car. You're a failure if you don't get a house. You're a failure if you don't get a car.
Yeah.
It is American as it gets.
That is true. And it is true that people want a new one. They want a new one. That's part of the status of owning a vehicle. You want to be able to say it's 2026.
That's
Look, it has
right.
these new features.
Ego.
It's fun.
Apple CarPlay.
And people actually care what the person next to them thinks at the stoplight for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Ego. Weird one. Can't believe a man with high ego. You mean it's almost like pride is the #1 of the 7 deadly sins or something? I know you would never believe it because it's celebrated throughout all of these, freaking anti-God societies that we have popping up all over the West. But damn, it's almost like it's a real killer. I'm so happy Caleb Hammer got onto Joe Rogan. He's awesome. I really support him. I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with all of his political stances and whatever, but just a guy who's just rational and likes money. My inner Jew being like, rubs hands together. Caleb Hammer like saving money. Yes, my favorite show. Yeah, anyway, moving on. I'm never beating the stereotypes, man. Bro, I gotta watch an episode of Caleb Hammer with my grandfather. Dude's 100 years old, and he would fucking explode if he watched one of these. Now, I love justice. Look, man, there are many things that I love in this life, okay? My family, a good return on an investment, and justice. And honestly, I've been really enjoying this Lego saga. All right, so there's this situation that's been going on. Bricks and Minifigs is a company that's allegedly stole $200,000 of Lego from an old guy. People have been trying to get it back, and this gigantic company seemingly paid off the police force to work for them, and they arrested the YouTuber that exposed them. Now, they're apologizing. Not only that, but Bricks and Minifigs seem like they're suing for peace. All right, they've been completely destroyed by the internet purely because citizen journalism is saving America. They would have totally gotten away with this if not for that. And we gotta see them getting absolutely slaughtered.
Bricks and Minifigs has waved the white flag as their
Let's freaking go. This is what we call
CEO is
colossal W. Death by shame. It works, actually. We gotta bring shame back to society. Bro, all the hoification of society has been diabolical.
coming out and giving his side of the story, but it's mostly coping and lies.
Let's
We're going to get into it
go.
today on The Legal Mind, so we teach you
Your Honor, he is coping and lying.
to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney.
Friend of mine, Andrew.
And specifically an attorney with almost a decade of experience in corporate law, dealing with corporate situations. And one reason why I'm doing this review for you today is I have been on the other side of the table interpreting these corporate statements, or even working with CEOs to create corporate statements and what you can and can say and put out there. Now, this is an interview that was done with Fox just today, so
Bruh,
let's get right.
They got the freaking mustache twirling Pringles man looking ass CEO on the Fox. Ain't no way, bro. They got him. They didn't get the YouTuber that exposed him, bro. This shows the bias, by the way, of the mainstream media. They're like, yeah, we're not going to interview the individual citizen journalist that exposed him. We are going to interview the CEO that allegedly stole $200,000 from old people with a fucking metric shit ton of evidence proving that he did it. Allegedly. Doesn't help. This motherfucker looks like Wario walking onto Fox News to defend why he's fucking robbing old people or whatever.
right into it.
I go this route instead of, as people say, try to just settle Brian's collection and move on and make everyone forget it. Was that ever an option?
And that's what I said, by the way, from the beginning. I said this is something, if they had any corporate common sense, this is, of course, the CEO, Eamon McNeff, if they had any real experience and know-how and actually wanted to deal with this, they would have seen this coming a mile away, the publicity nightmare. As we're going to see here, they really didn't even have to pay the $200K because they're actually saying, hey, now we've come down to a number around $100K. So they're saying, okay, $100K. Now that is a lot for an individual, but for a company, come on, just pay that out. The amount you've now had to incur because of this is far beyond that in value. It absolutely was not worth it. And by the way, let's also look at his body language here. He's got the slumped shoulders. He's kind of got that, thousand-eyed stare, having gone through all of this bad PR.
Bro,
I mean, he's
fucking Vietnam looking ass PTSD guy staring into the camera. A YouTuber made a video about me and everyone thinks I'm retarded. Help. Please, mainstream media, launder my reputation.
Absolutely defeated, tail between his legs right here.
Oh, we've been working to try and work with Mr. Mansell for a good little while. We've asked for documentation as far back as a year ago, but we continue to reach out to try and get towards a resolution with the Mansell family on this matter.
And okay, so let's stop there with documentation. This is a key BS move of corporate. This is how they move the ball here. They say, oh, we didn't have documentation. Well, that's not true. You even see in Reckless Ben's documentary that they had it itemized out. They, in fact, had a lot itemized out. What they probably wanted was very specific documentation. They say, okay, we want to see the actual boxes. We want to see pictures. We want to see the serial numbers. And this is a way that companies try to shift the blame. That doesn't mean there wasn't an inventory.
Death by a bajillion little retarded pointless questions. And the issue is you see this everywhere. Politicians do it. People do it in debate when they're just going to nitpick with 1,000 completely irrelevant points. This is like the secret forbidden domain expansion technique if you're a complete fucking fraud.
That just means it wasn't what they wanted. And a lot of times companies will ask for extreme levels of documentation just because they know it's going to be a problem for you to
I've been through this, man. I've been through this. You get into issues, you start fighting with the guy, and it's like, listen, man, I could pay you $100 and just get finished, but on principle, I do not owe you those $100. And they will make your life fucking hell. All right, they'll say you need to sign up here and sign in there and go there and sign this document and go to the fucking that office and this place and get fucking notary and shit. And fine, I'll give you my $100. Leave me alone. Literally. All right, I totally relate to this. And I think that is basically what the entire American healthcare system is designed to be. Which is why everyone, you have healthcare, you jump through all the stoops, you got all your fucking T's crossed and I's dotted, and then you walk home and you got a hospital bill of like $4 bajillion fucking dollars because obviously the American healthcare system is a complete fucking scam. You want to navigate that shit, you're fucking done. It's one of the major things I use AI for these days. I just say, hey, give me all the steps to get through this fucking bullshit as quickly as possible. And it's like, okay, so lie on this answering machine. And then when you get put on hold over here, hang up and then call that number. It's like, yes.
Produce that. They know you can't produce that, especially if it's not in your possession. So that is a corporate weasel word situation right out of the gate, already starting off deceptively. Before we go any further, as you guys know, I'm a lawyer. So obviously,
yo, he's a lawyer. My Jew senses are tingling.
Direct messages to the Mansell family and to Mr. Mansell specifically, seeking to have a sit-down meeting, meet at the table, and go over all the documentation that we have and to be able to talk through. And from our side of things, if there, have been any missteps through the transition of the store.
I love how he's still making believe he's innocent. I love how this dude's making, but if we made any mistakes, he literally admitted it on camera. There's body cam police footage of these people trying to get this guy thrown into jail for no reason. All right, like what are we even doing here? There's metadata timestamps of photos of the Legos that are owned by the guy in his store.
We want to make things right. We want to do what's right by the customer.
I don't believe that for the second. I think they want to do what now is on them because of bad PR. I think this is, at this point, not something because they want to do what's right for the customer. If they wanted to do what's right, they would have settled this way before. They would have brought them to...
But the American people are much smarter than all of their Weasley corporate excuses to get out of paying this or whatever. The reality is they are never getting their reputation back. No matter how many people they fire, it's so over. The amount of exposing that happened to this company and the hoops that they jumped through not to pay up this old guy who they, in my opinion, probably robbed, all right? It seems like they are never getting their reputation back, and their entire company is collapsing because of this. And honestly, it's deserved. And honestly, every other corporation that wants to pull this shit on random people should take note, because their time is coming. The American people are tired and fed up with this.
The table before, they would have gotten a professional involved. They would have hired a mediator themselves and got this done. Once again, he brings up documentation. At this point, they should not be trying to nickel and dime him. They should just be paying it out and getting this done with.
But all we asked for was documentation, and every time we asked for that up to this point, we seem to kind of then lose the connection.
And that's intentional on their part.
So you've offered Brian the inventory of sets that was in the store.
Yeah, whatever was left over, we've offered that on multiple occasions. And then, like if there was anything...
That sounds like bullshit to me. In the actual video, he said, "Oh yes, I swear on God, and I swear on everything that I will give you all of the things." And then he just ignored their call, and he made believe he didn't have it, and he closed down his store. Like, bro, he's like, "Yeah, we agreed to give it back." Okay, you agreed on a phone call, but then when time showed up to actually get the shit back, they never gave it back. Right? But we agreed. Shoots you in the foot, but we agreed to give you free things. Kills the guy. That's not what they did. I'm being hyperbolic here. I'm not trying to get sued by Bricks and Minifigs for making it seem like they're murderers and stuff. Just because they wanted and threatened to murder somebody, it doesn't mean they did, okay? Just absolutely miserable people.
That had been done that was
And Iran agreed not to have a nuclear weapon, and then they enriched uranium to 60%, but they agreed. This is literally like the fucking bullshit leftoid talking points that you expect.
Toward by the previous franchisee, if that individual had sold more than they let on and did not pay Mr. Mansell, we've offered to compensate him for the loss of the compensation that should have been given to him. So we've tried to make multiple offers, and
we made so many offers that we never followed up on.
Hopefully we'll be able to get them to the table so we can discuss it.
Now, this is trying to shift the burden here. I don't think they actually made good faith offers before this. I do not think that they came through and said that. They're trying to sound very reasonable. They're trying to make it sound like Mansell's being unreasonable. But at this point, there's no way, I believe, that they made a real offer here to actually pay him out what he's owed and return what is owed to him. I don't think that's legitimate. I think.
By the way, even if they agree, like on a phone call, and then they refuse to ever answer the phone, and then say it's too complicated, and then push it off for a month, that's not a good faith offer.
They're now saying that. I think that's the position they now have to take because publicity is totally against them. This is all over the internet, but I don't think this is a position that they had before this.
As far as offering Brian the inventory, have you gone through the store, figured out what was part of his collection, taken inventory and shown him that inventory to offer that?
So again, as this...
Look at the body language. His eyes darted up and he was looking around, right? Note all
the lawyer's opinion on how his body language is cringe.
Those things, because those go a lot towards where their position is coming from. I think they're definitely panicked and they're definitely beaten on this one.
Situation unfolded, and as additional investigations have continued to evolve so we could find out where there was a miscommunication, there was some...
The miscommunication of us robbing you and not wanting to give you your money back. I love these people, man. They're so slimy, it's insane.
Initial findings and discovery of hey, these seem to match some of the things that were being stated, but we don't have any indication otherwise.
So they did an oopsie, right? They did. It was just a mistake, and it was a mistake when they called the cops on the guy asking questions, and it was a mistake when they tried to get him arrested for fake charges. it was all a misunderstanding, guys. Yeah, I'm sure.
We were able to determine some other indicators later, and so all of those were set aside to say, hey, these may match. So let's set them aside in case, he can, we can work together. Those then were offered to him, and the initial offer was rejected. But then as we've continued, we've found additional documentation that shows where there were separate sets of books and spreadsheets being kept between, or from the former franchisee. And so as those things have come to light, we've tried to share those with Mr. Mansell in hopes that he can see, that we were not attempting in any way, shape, or form to withhold anything that we could verify, and that we do want to help him recover as much of the collection. Now, the initial number was, promotional, but the actual factual information shows that the value of the more realistic value of the collection was closer to about $100,000, which is what the documentation that we've been able to determine that both parties to that consignment agreement.
Actually, we only stole $100,000. He's so fucked. Bro should twirl his mustache while he does this shit. If you're gonna lie to us like this, just twirl your mustache. All right, just do a nice and twirl your fucking stash.
Kind of had an understanding between.
Okay, let's stop there for a second. First of all, he uses a lot of corporate weasel words like indicators. Corporate people love their indicators. Oh, the indicators and this and that. He threw documentation in there as well. But then he goes and tries to make this whole point about the number. Okay, it's really 100,000, not 200,000. Okay, listen. Reckless Ben is a YouTuber, and I'm going to tell you something as a fellow YouTuber out there. And also, if you just look at the news is always going to use the biggest possible number. When I cover a case that, let's say, involves a criminal act, right? That criminal act can have, let's say, a punishment between 5 and 10 years. So it is not deceptive to put that this could be up to 10 years, even if that person ends up getting sentenced for 5 or maybe getting probation, right? It's not deceptive, but that's the way the news is. The news puffs things up. We on YouTube puff things up too. That's how things go. But at this point, they're honestly...
I wouldn't even give that to them. Bro, whatever the fucking title is on the YouTube fucking video, it's completely irrelevant. Even if it was $100,000, it doesn't detract from the fact that you robbed $100,000. Now, the reason why I think he said $100,000 is because the actual small court claims, all right, the small claims court victories amounted to $100,000. So $100,000 was proven in court already, all right? I think that's why he's using that number specifically. Now, whether it's $100,000 or $200,000, it is completely irrelevant with how this company actually acted. Completely and utterly irrelevant. It could be $1 million. It could be $500,000. It could be $10,000. Completely irrelevant. Because the truth of the matter is, this is a company that allegedly, according to the story, robbed an old guy blind and used every corporate loophole in the fucking world and controlled the police because they're a giant company to get away with that shit. All right? The actual number is completely irrelevant for the sake of the actual story. And everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. Maybe the Fox News boomers that never heard the story before. I'm gonna be rude for a second. I'm gonna be rude. I don't think Fox News viewers are gonna be the average people going shopping at Bricks and Minifigs toy store. Yeah, I'm just saying.
For the company, on a corporate basis, there is not a big difference between 200K and 100K in terms of how much damage you've taken from PR, bad press, etc. Right? Yeah. This is a situation where you shouldn't be crying and whining and trying to point out and nickel and dime. Also, with valuation of items, we know that things can swing wildly. I used to play Magic the Gathering back in the day, and we all know that cards can have a mint value and they can have a used value. So trying to argue that is really, really splitting hairs. I think it's unnecessary pettiness that they're trying to inject here, and I don't think it's appropriate.
Each other that was the actual real value.
So you dipped a bit into...
It's not just that. It's trying to discredit the YouTuber. I don't think it's just petty. I think he's trying to do everything in his power to discredit the actual campaign against him. You know, saying they lied about the stores and they lied about us being unreasonable. And it's like, oh, well, they're just liars. I think that's what he's trying to say to an audience that's not primed to understand the story. The reality is anyone that actually understands the story knows that this is horseshit.
This new statement, and this concerns the previous owner of the franchise on the Kaiser branch. So tell me a little bit about what you guys found.
So, you know, our franchise operates on the buy, sell, trade model for Lego. We love Lego and everything that it stands for. And
so much we'll even take it without paying for it. We love Lego.
So, but we know that consignment agreements can be very difficult. And so we make sure that in our operations manual, through all of our training, we train all franchisees that consignment is not part of our model. It's written into the operations manual. It's trained on. It's very explicit. However, unfortunately, we had a franchisee go rogue and enter into a consignment agreement.
Yes, I know. I was literally on camera being mean to you and trying to get you arrested by the cops, but actually all the fault is because of one retarded person, an employee at some random store. The internet, how it mischaracterizes things.
Our knowledge or authorization.
And this is where they're trying to move the buck. This is where they're trying to push it onto the franchise owner and say, well, we didn't authorize it and therefore it's not good. Well, that doesn't mean you don't have a duty to now resolve the issue that this franchisee got into, right? The third party, the Mancells, aren't aware of the agreements between corporate and franchise. That's very, very common. And if they entered into this situation, well, then you need to go in here and rectify that, right? You need to go in there and act, because a person who's entering into an agreement with a franchise owner would assume the franchise owner is acting in good faith, right? In most parties, you can assume, you say, okay, well, I assume you're acting in good faith. I assume you reviewed everything on your side of this deal. They have no way to know. The Mancells had no way to know what Bricks and Minifigs may or may not have in their contract with the franchise. And by the way, we don't even know if this is true or not. I haven't seen seen the full franchise contract between Bricks and Minifigs and the franchisee. I would love.
I'm operating on the best of faith, assuming everything he's saying is true, which it probably isn't, knowing that he has a history of lying. All right, assuming it's all true, it's still retarded and not an argument.
To see that franchise agreement, the full thing, the signed, executed copy, you know, all of that. That would be great to actually see that, whether or not they're lying on this one. This is them trying to once again play that silly game between corporate and franchise, and it's not going to work. You have to take responsibility.
And then it appears that may not have been honored with the person that she had entered into that consignment agreement with. And then through other circumstances, we ended up retaking over that store. And in the shuffle, there appears to have been just some confusion as to how, why, and where, you know, like some of this came about. And as we tried to figure that out, we started uncovering more documents.
And you can tell from my mustache that I am not a supervillain.
More information. And
there we go, guys. Documents. It's always documents, right? But this is what you have to really pay attention. You know, they're trying to pretend like they did all this work and discovered it. But we know that they had an instinctive reaction just to bury this. They had an instinctive reaction to trust people that were being dishonest, to not believe the Mansells, right? We know that's exactly what happened. They weren't deeply searching their documentation at first. They were stonewalling. That was their tactic.
And what we found was that there were 3 separate sets of records that were being kept that shows that Mr. Mansell was significantly underpaid by that former franchisee. And so we've been trying to make sure.
So they've confirmed it.
So they robbed the guy. So he admits that their company robbed the guy. Wow. So he admits that their company robbed the guy. Now you can shift blame wherever in the company you want. But this is the craziest shit I've ever seen. He actually just folded on national television. You know, all of his petty bullshit saying how it was like unfair of the YouTuber for coming after me. He's like, yeah, we robbed the guy. I can't believe it.
They've essentially come out and confirmed that he was not paid what he should have been paid. Thank you. It took so long for them to come out and
it's literally, so why are the police coming after Ben, the YouTuber guy?
Frankly say, and look how even in this statement, he's so cowardly as to bury this deeper within the interview, right? To say he should have been paid this, he wasn't paid this. Come out up front and admit it. Come out words like he was not paid, he should have been paid, this should have been made right. We're very sorry, right? But they're still trying to maintain this side of it, which I think is very disingenuous. I think that should have been something they should come out and make that apology to the Mansells, and also the acknowledgement that they are indeed owed. Just something that's
and that poor reckless Ben, the YouTuber guy that was arrested multiple times and searched for heroin and shit, all these other fake allegations made by this company against that guy because they were upset that he was exposing them. Like they fucked that guy. That guy could have been in jail for a long time if his story wouldn't have gotten out and this actual situation wouldn't have gone as viral as it did. You know, I'm telling you, citizen journalists are saving the country, actually saving the country.
Front-loaded in the statement at this point to recover their PR. This is not doing a great job of recovering their public image.
They will never recover their public image. Every apology that they make from this moment forward is just going to be sorry I was caught. Not sorry that it happened. I'm sorry it was caught. They will never recover their public image. There was it wasn't negligence. It was obviously malicious, cruel, and evil to the point that they will never ever be able to literally say anything possible to recover their recognition or their actual reputation. They're cooked. They're actually just cooked.
We can properly do like a forensic accounting and make sure everything is being looked at properly so that we can work together to get that family resolution.
And we, for our part, will reach out to those parties as well. You mentioned a couple terms I want to get.
He really thinks this is going to blow over. He really doesn't realize it's the absolute end of his entire company. It's crazy.
Well, the news is obviously reaching out for a different reason than for conflict resolution, right? I like how the news is just a little side comment about the news, where the news tries to say, oh, we're here to help. No, you're there for the drama too, guys. The news people are no better than the YouTubers. They like to think they are, but they're no better.
Oh, they're worse. They're way worse. What are you talking about? They're just YouTubers, except they're actually slaves to the actual corporate agenda. They're way worse than the YouTubers.
That the franchisee agreement was not honored. Does that mean you're saying Mr. Mansell was underpaid by the franchisee?
From what we can tell, yes.
Yes, we robbed him. Case closed. Thanks for being here.
See how the news had to push him to even give a clear answer there. He dodged that. He tried a little weasel jerk there. It didn't really work, so they had to call him out to be very clear. No, this person was wronged. You're saying that, right? That's almost like a lawyer with a deposition, right? But he was trying to avoid that. They've been trying to avoid that up until today. This is why this is such a game changer, and it's why it's so important. And also, if you guys haven't liked this video and subscribed, make sure you're subscribed and like the video.
You should. He's great. I love Andrew. And also, you should definitely like and subscribe to me. This case has been absolute insanity, and I am so happy that we have him admitting on camera, yeah, we steal from old people. Brick by brick, the entire company has crumbled thanks to citizens that just kind of want to do the right thing. Many such cases, and we're taking we're taking our entire country back. I don't know if you heard the news. We're taking our country back from like the corporate overlords. We actually realized that us little guys, we could actually make a difference. And we will. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed. Definitely subscribe. Every day, a new deep dive on new things, all the things I covered in the least homosexual way possible. All right, listen, let's not mince words about it. There will be 0 anal prolapses on this channel. Definitely subscribe once again. It's very appreciated. Share the video with your friends. YouTube does not like me, but I make up for that with spunk, charisma, and fun vibes. So anyway, thank you so much for the support. You guys are incredible. I would never make it anywhere without you people, and I am eternally grateful for all of you for helping me do this. And hopefully shedding light on stories and situations and cover them in ways that, you know, the reality is would not be covered otherwise. So once again, team effort here, and I really, really appreciate all of you. See you in the next one. Bye.